Monday Night Football goes to the Lions. How about that? The Lions take down the Ravens in Baltimore. There were a lot of unhappy Ravens fans. Such a sweet victory for the Lions and Dan Campbell on the road, Jared Goff. But that's not what we're talking about. Nick Bosa's out for the year. Dieter's in the house post Monday night. A lot of Niners to get into. Join us. Well, we get it rolling on the Krueger Show Monday night. Hope everybody's having a good one. Warm night out on the West Coast for sure. Just got back from New Orleans last week. Had a great time. Really, really good time. It was great to be there, courtesy of Claudaddy Arcades. I bring it up because my wife was asking me what temperature it was tonight, and I was like, God, it is pretty. It's kind of a warm night. So I opened my phone, and she looked down at it, and she's like, oh, it's 79. I'm like, oh, no, honey. That's in New Orleans. And because it was on, because I had New Orleans. Right now in New Orleans, it is 77 degrees. Okay. Clear conditions tonight, New Orleans, wind gusts up to 7 miles an hour, 77 degrees. Tomorrow it's going to be high of 89.
No.
Today was high of 80.
Humidity.
Yeah, and 77 in New Orleans is hot. All right, but then I come back over to Walnut Creek, California, and there it is, 76 degrees.
Wow.
And it was 93 here today, and it will be as low as 60.
It's going to be like 85 in the city tomorrow, which stay safe out there. Like, I know that
there's no AC in the city.
I mean, it's brutal. I mean, it's I know that people who are outside of the Bay Area roll their eyes, and they're right to do so. Like, I believe.
In what way? I mean, because we're so spoiled with our weather.
Complain about Bay Area weather,
it's cold. You can't complain about the cold in Northern California, or you're a true douche.
I get
come
that.
on. Let's be honest about that.
I'm with you on that, but people will complain. I think it's the heat that gets people rolling their eyes because it's starting to cool down for them pretty much everywhere else in the country. It's heating up for us. And I just quickly circled this on the game book from yesterday's football game.
Yeah.
That's a 72 degrees at kickoff there. San Francisco 49ers, Arizona Cardinals. That stadium was 3/4 full because it was going to be too hot. It was 72 degrees. Listen, we're talking about the UV.
There was a morning layer. There was a marine layer in the morning. When I got there, I thought it was going to be kind of a foggy, cool game. And it was perfect. It was one of being a perfect game.
But all people did. I mean, the Niners are wearing white at home, soft. And to be fair,
I'm looking for every advantage.
I'm looking at the fourth quarter of the game on the tape this morning, and every Cardinal has just completely sweated through every layer they have. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe they were onto something. Maybe that heat refraction was what they needed. But it is funny where it's like, oh, it's 72. We can't function. I mean, if it's not perfectly 66 degrees, like what could we possibly do? Meanwhile, in Texas, it's like 112 and 100%.
I should have started the post game with the weather won this game for the Niners today. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean,
you don't just come to Levi Stadium in September on the last day of summer and expect to win.
There was a crucial decision that was made that swung this game in the Niners' favor, and it was when the schedule came out and they decided to put on white. The difference between wearing white and wearing red as far as heat and total energy expended was just enough to give the Niners the margin for victory they needed, which was just slight. It was a pick'em game until they went to the all whites, and then once they went to the all whites, they were home free.
2.5. The Niners kept their cool late in that game. Is it because they were the cooler team? We'll never really know.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out, so get there early, get some brisket chili. We're also brought to you by Habbas Law. We'll talk more about them in a bit. And the show and the season this year on the Krueger Show, the entire Niner football season, is presented by Sleeper, and we'll do a Sleeper lineup coming up here momentarily. But let's jump right into the biggest story coming out of week 3, and that is Nick Bosa tore his right ACL, pretty much a non-contact situation in a pass rush. Just for whatever reason, it buckled on him. Too much torque for the ligament. It tore. He's second time in his life he's tore the right ACL. He also blew it out in high school. He blew out the left in 2020 at MetLife in week 2.
I reported that.
So this guy's blown out 3 ACLs, 2 on the right side. And he's the best player on the team. And the 49ers lose a clearly their best player. Torn right ACL. He'll be back in 26. It's not life-threatening, but it is season ending. The question is this, Dieter, before we get into where did the Niners go next?
Right.
Does this loss end the 49ers Super Bowl hopes? We know they're going to be a playoff caliber team because of the schedule, but were they a Super Bowl contender before Bosa went out? Are they a Super Bowl contender without Nick Bosa?
They're certainly not a Super Bowl contender without Nick Bosa. I mean,
definitely not.
No. I think that we were just starting to be able to entertain reasonably the possibility that this team could be really feisty in the playoffs. They wouldn't go in as any sort of a favorite, even with a really good record, which, I mean, they're 3-0 by the skin of their chinny chin. Like they've sneaked a couple out, and that's a credit to them. I think that that's a great identity that they've developed, that they've been able to win 2 games with Mac Jones as their quarterback. Like, that's unbelievable. So this team clearly has some gumption to them. They got some belief in there. The schedule is very favorable. There's a lot of talent coming back with Purdy and Demarcus Robinson and Ayuk and Kittle and Malik Mustafa. Like, there's dudes coming back, but there will be more dudes who leave, and I don't know where that all evens out. It's simply impossible to replace Bosa under any circumstances. There's no trade that you can make reasonably that will get you a Nick Bosa. You can get somebody close. You'll spend more money than you ever wanted to, or more draft capital than you've ever wanted to get that player. But there is no Nick Bosa available to you, or someone of that, echelon. He's been holding up the defensive line in the same way that like a Trent Williams holds up the offensive line. Once you have him, everyone else can kind of do their jobs, even if they are limited players. A bunch of rookies, a bunch of guys who, you want to play in limited snaps. Now everybody has to take on more of a burden, and I'm not sure what that looks like, and I can't be all that encouraged. Does Bryce Huff look like the Bryce Huff we've seen in the first 3 games if Nick Bosa's not over there winning like every single damn rep? Probably not, but maybe, this is why they play the games. Yeah, I the Super Bowl always felt fanciful to me because it's always felt fanciful to the 49ers, who have had their attention solely on 2026 when we're talking about the front office. Everything's about 26, and it'd be great if good things happen to them in 25. That would only help them for 26 is sort of their internal logic on that. And now it really does become all about 26, and you just hope that you can get some real momentum going into that season, which they're hoping will be another Super Bowl contention year. When you have a stars and scrubs roster, you just cannot lose a bona fide, unquestioned top-tier star. You just can't. We can have an argument if Ayuk is one of those guys. He's certainly been down. I think the replacements have stepped in because they do have talent in the receiver room. But there's nothing. You can't recreate him in the aggregate. You can't do any of this stuff. It's like if George Kittle had gone down or if Purdy had gone down for the entire year. You just can't. Everything has to change, and they can still win a bunch of games, unquestionably. But when you get into the playoffs, I mean, you can ask the Detroit Lions last year. I know everyone got injured on that defense, but Aiden Hutchinson went down, and they just never were able to replace him. And when the moments got really tough and the cheese got really binding, they completely wet the bed. And it was still a good year for them, but Super Bowl contention was the goal for them coming into the year. I don't know if that's the goal for the Niners this year. In fact, I know internally they don't think it's the goal this year. But if anyone outside was starting to put that on them, or if anyone held those ideas for them, I think that they went with Nick Bosa's right knee.
I hear what you're saying. I'll push back on the standpoint of, it's a league full of, there's 8 3-0 teams or 6 3-0 teams. Let's just say there's I don't know, let's say there's 8 or 10 Super Bowl contenders, even more than the 3-0 teams.
Okay.
If we wanted to say that.
Sure.
Okay, so let's say you got roughly a third of the league that has a chance to win the championship. And then ultimately, I think it comes down to, talent and quarterbacking and head coaching and injuries.
Yeah.
And just of those top 10 teams that wind up making the playoffs, when the playoffs do roll around, what do these teams actually look like? I mean, give you an example. Like, I think Tampa's a playoff team. I think they're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
They're going to play the rest of the year without Kalijah Kancey. I mean, Kalijah Kancey, in my opinion, was their best player on their defensive front. So they're not quite the same team without Kalijah Kancey.
Well, I mean,
and Aiden Hutchinson was a huge loss.
but he's a great player. Yeah.
Yeah, Vita Vea's, they're different, but you know what I'm saying. Totally. He's a premier guy.
Absolutely.
So, and now the Niners lose a premier guy. I would agree with you, just like on the surface, as is. If you just said, okay, look, we have no assets to do anything about this, and we're just an as is. So, as is, we promote Trevis Gibson, and away we go. Or, as is, we promote Robert Beal and Trevis Gibson, and away we go. Whatever.
Right.
That's the as is. As is, I agree. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender without Bosa, if just as is. Now, if you added a piece and either were good, through good fortune or good scouting or good luck, I guess good fortune is good luck. Maybe you land on the right addition and that guy plays really well. In that scenario, yeah, I think they probably could get there, but it's a conversation that I have to know what other, of the other contenders, what key players did they lose and what are they entering the playoffs with? Because, eventually it does matter. I mean, there's, this one obviously matters a ton. This would be like the equivalent of the Chiefs losing Chris Jones. I mean, it would just be a crushing blow, or the Eagles losing Jalen Carter. I mean, it's on that level.
Or the Packers losing Micah Parsons.
Possibly. It's even maybe even more.
I think I would argue more because of Bosa's ability to stop the run as well. I mean, for him to be able to win the reps that he wins, and I mean, he was on a heater.
He's totally dominating.
I can probably count on one hand the amount of reps that he lost so far this year. And for him to be that good of a run defender at the wide 9, is beyond comprehension. And maybe I'd feel, maybe now I'm coming into the Krueger camp here. Like, Mikel's had a really nice start and he's done some really wonderful things in the run game. And I think he collapses the pocket, but now you're asking the 20-year-old with no bag to really step up his game as a pass rusher. And he certainly has the talent to do it, but there's no evidence that he's ready to do that at the NFL level right now. But it's required. It's required. Even more than they've already thrown at him is going to be on his plate. Now you need some serious big-time push from the middle that you kind of get every now and again, but not really. Now you need Alfred Collins to cut out all that bust and just be boom. And you need Jordan Elliott to step up and give you 25 snaps a game as opposed to the 10 or 12, which have been pretty good because it's limited and he doesn't, get caught out there. You need Yetur Gross-Matos, who they've used as a nice bit player, kind of a chess piece move around. Well, now he actually has to play end. And what does that look like? I can't remember. I mean, he's a specter of a player. He doesn't practice. No one can remember what he does when he's on the field, but the coaches really like him. And then you kind of look at it from that perspective and you say oh, that's pretty good. But what happens now when there's more on him? And I really worry about what this means for the linebackers, where D. Winters and Fred Warner have been so exceptional. I don't think that they're going to get any worse, but I do think the situation is going to get tougher for them because you're going to get more guys coming to the second level. And that's one more guy that you have to beat on every rep fairly consistently, I'd imagine. I just charted the game yesterday. They had 12 pressures of Kyler Murray. And, pressures are subject. This was the NFL's opinion of what pressures are. They had 5 of those on the, 12 snaps that Bosa was on the field. I got the number right here. Apologies. Bosa was on the field for 14 snaps. They got 5 of those pressures when Bosa was on the field. They got 7 for the rest of the game. They played 66 defensive snaps. They got 7 pressures. in the 52 that Bosa wasn't on the field. So that kind of goes, it's kind of an obvious thing. You're going to have less pressures when Nick Bosa's not on the field, but they really had to scheme those up as well. And so now you're in a situation, are you being predictable? Are you telling? And I do think that Robert Saleh's coordinated the bejesus out of this defense through the first 3 games, and he's just going to have to take it to another level too. It just puts so much on everybody else and the offense. So if this team's got it, they better start showing it immediately and it's great that they have 3 wins in the barn. Like, that's huge because I think that they're going to need them down the stretch.
Well, that's the other question. I mean, how do they see themselves? Do they see themselves? I mean, I know publicly they love to say they see themselves as a Super Bowl contender, and they're off to a 3-0 start. But then they also, left themselves with a lot of unspent money that they could have added veteran players. So it's kind of like they were hedging a little bit. Let's find out how good our rookie class is. I think they just there were so many unknowns with all the young players they were introducing that I think it made more sense to give yourself flexibility to do stuff in the middle of the year as opposed to spending it all on a certain area and then winding up in camp realizing you're cutting good young players because of guys you signed. Right. They've done that in the past. So I think they were kind of leery of doing that. I actually think this potentially could still work out, but they're going to have to add, a piece or two. Now the question though is, what do you think they thought of themselves coming into this year based on, we know they're kind of a Super Bowl or bust mindset. The Yorks are. I mean, they're not thinking, when you've won 5 Lombardi trophies and you're desperate for yours post Eddie, and you know what I mean, it validates the entire family on every level. There's an intensity from the ownership that also you can feel when you're around the 49ers. And so that they're always thinking Super Bowl in this organization. They think big. Whether they can do it or not is another thing. But how do you think they saw themselves this year? Because they didn't spend like a team that expected to win. They almost spent like a team that wasn't sure what their hand of cards was and wanted to give themselves flexibility at the November 1st trade deadline.
I mean, internally, they did not view themselves as a team that was going to compete for the Super Bowl. They viewed this as a bridge year, and they called it the Rams plan. They wanted to be the Rams, where we're going to get a bunch of young guys on defense. We're going to trust our great coaches. And hey, maybe it all comes together late in the year and we'll be feisty. And maybe that all works out and turns into a Super Bowl. But like, we're not expecting that. Like they expected it last year or the year before that, where they had the Avengers around Brock Purdy, or they still had, elite level talent, all pro level talent on the roster. Certainly they still have all pros. They paid those guys. But this year was about getting these young guys integrated, figuring out the NFL so that they had that foundation, that new baseline. And this is why Kyle kept talking about like 2019 or even 2017, right? Establishing that new baseline with these young guys they've had in the last 2 drafts so that, hey, now we're going. Now we're going in 26 and beyond. Now we're actually competing. We're going in with the intent of not just winning games, but winning titles. And so I know that internally they were not thinking Super Bowl. They were thinking this is a bridge year. And that doesn't mean it was supposed to be a bad year. They already got that out of the way last year. But it wasn't. It was, let's make the playoffs. Let's see what we can do once we get in. And it was going to be this sort of big macro sense of what the season is. And that all of that still applies. All of that still applies. The only bubble that's been burst is the one that they've been inflating for the first 3 weeks that make you think like, damn, they're way ahead of schedule. Like that Rams plan is all about, hey, second half of the year, these young guys, they'll have figured out the NFL game by then. And now that defense can really hold its own. And the offense, which was so great to begin the year, and this was sort of the rubric that they had in their heads, that offense that was so great in the year, now that's paired with a good defense. Now we're the team that no one wants to face going into the playoffs. Again, the Rams plan. This is how the Rams did it after their 5-win season a couple of years ago. But when this defense comes out of the gate and looks that good, and then backs it up, and then now backs it up again in the third game, even without Bosa for but 14 snaps, very difficult to make the argument that this team needs to like build towards something. That was a very high floor that they set. And now you're thinking really highfalutin thoughts when we're talking about the ceiling. Like, where will this team be in week 17, week 18? They could be one of the best defenses in the NFL. And we know that the offense with all the players that are coming into the fold should really be there. So that's the only bubble that's been burst. It's just, again, you built an entire roster around rookies and like 5 or 6 veteran guys. And one of those because those are the very best of the veterans that you have. And one of those veteran guys is out, and he was the linchpin of a lot of things they were doing defensively. So, listen, they have an opportunity to reinflate that balloon, but all the air has come out of that Super Bowl balloon that they just started inflating in week 1. As for the 2026 plan, that stays strong. I don't see any reason to back off it. But it is frustrating because it really did feel like they were building towards something that could have been greater than what they initially expected.
In this whole conversation around the 49ers, you can chase it from behind and just react to everything, or you can take the lead and kind of lead the discussion. And I think that's what I'd like to do here. Let's advance this a little bit. I think we're both in agreement. The 49ers are a good football team and has a lot of strengths, and they're off to a good start, and there's a lot to be excited about.
For sure.
But they're losing Nick Bosa does take them off of that Super Bowl trajectory, and it's a trajectory that they have no interest in being taken off of. So let's talk about what could be done to add something of significance to this mix. I was on this morning on KNBR with Greg Papa, the voice of the 49ers, and he was asking me, suggesting that Trey Hendrickson should be a target of theirs. At that point, I just really heard the news that Bosa was out, and I couldn't really give him or anybody really any good breakdown on what was out there or what, I would do or what options they have. Mm-hmm. But basically, you have your internal options: Robert Beal Jr. and Trevis Gibson. Gibson's had one good season as a sack master. He had 7.5 sacks. That's a good number. Beal is looks like a ton and doesn't play like a ton, and they haven't been able to get it out of him. He's big and fast and athletic, and we're talking about 6'4", 260, super athletic, and 4.5, sub 4.5 speed. We're talking about 4.45, 4.48, something like that off the edge at 260 pounds. He's one of the greatest athletes on the team. He's a force on special teams when he's that's how they utilize him. But can they coach him up and get anything out of him? Can they get anything out of Trevis Gibson? Those are the internal options. So that's the internal. Then there's free agents. And I saw the list. It's Carl Lawson, John Kaminsky, Shaq Barrett, Jerry Hughes, who's 37, and DeMarcus Walker. So those are the 5 options. Nobody, Carl Lawson I liked back in the days. That was a couple of ACLs ago. Yeah. And Shaq Barrett was good when they won the Super Bowl, but that's probably when he was good last. And Kaminsky is probably not, is going to look very stiff after Nick Bosa. So there's not good options on the free agent market.
No. So
then it's about trade candidates or practice squad poachings. All right, and that's really what we're looking at.
A practice squad poaching we're going to be in the same situation, right? Like, you're not getting somebody off a practice squad that's coming close to Nick Bosa replacement,
Of course, but you're really just looking to who do you got an organization full of guys who have football conviction, right? Mm-hmm. You got guys who coached for a long time. You got guys who played. You got guys who scouted. Somebody's got to have a good conviction about some of these trade candidates and some of these practice squad guys. I'm going to give you the list, and I'll tell you what I think.
Sure.
And I'm sure you have some thoughts.
Yeah.
So here are the trade candidates. And there may be more than this, but these are the trade candidates as I see them. Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati, 1 year, just signed a 1-year deal, free agent at the end of the year. I can't see the Niners paying him next year. So but a 1-year rental in some ways, you could argue in some ways he'd be an upgrade from Nick Bosa. Based on the last couple of years, he's had 35 sacks over the last couple of years. So he's a great talent, and he's in his prime. Trey Hendrickson is the move that says we are absolutely in this thing to win it. Right. That's the move that speaks loudly, but it's also a move that's going to be prohibitive as far as compensation. I saw Coach Yak suggest a 3rd and a 4th. Think again. If you could get him for a 3rd and a 4th,
I'll give you the fourth. Come
I
on.
mean, seriously, the fan base would donate those picks. I mean,
Yeah. Are you?
third and a fourth? I mean,
oh yeah,
that's just.
But don't even ask us for a second. We couldn't possibly give up a second.
Yeah,
Trey Hendrickson's going to cost a first
for sure. First,
they're not going to. This is my issue. Like no one can disagree that Trey Hendrickson is the number one target and the guy they should. But when you're thinking about 26, 26, 26, and your entire ethos of the organization up front is we have to build the foundation for the future. We have to get younger. We have to do all this stuff. Yes, the clear and present danger is falling off, but I think they would view it as more of a dire circumstance if they were to trade a first or even a second round pick in the next year's draft. So guys like Trey Hendrickson just aren't on the board for them.
I would agree normally, but I do think to stay current on the Niners, they have a quarterback now in Mac Jones that I think they probably will be able to get a day 2 pick for if they want to trade him based on what I've seen from him. And if he continues to play well, he's on the books next year for $7 million. That's cheap for a starting quarterback. No, somebody may give you a day 2 pick for him. So if you felt like you had an extra day 2 pick there and you could trade a day 2 pick for Hendrickson, maybe that would be their thinking. But he's the most expensive guy.
Now,
that's the most expensive one. And I don't want to say that's lazy to say that because it's a great idea, but it's the easiest one, right?
Totally.
Get Trey Hendrickson. Oh, of course. Duh. Why didn't we think of that? Okay, so let's dig a little deeper.
The one guy who actually can make the argument that he's in the caliber. It's like, yeah, just go get that guy. I mean,
go get that
good
guy.
Move. Great move.
Exactly. Go do a great move. So Trey Hendrickson would be the obvious one. And if you can get him, God bless you.
Yeah.
But let me give you some other names, and then we can talk about who you like out of this group.
Sure.
And I'll just read out the names, and we can talk about them all or whatever ones you want in a minute. Here they are. New Orleans has both Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson. The New York Giants have both Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm looking at mostly teams that are going to be bad. I'm not even thinking about, because guess what? People will say, oh, get this guy from a winning team. If you call a winning team and say you want one of their best players, they hate you forever.
Yeah. You're not going to be like, no, give us yours. You're the one who's looking for help.
Right. We're going to beat you next
week.
You're
the desperate team.
Right. And they get insulted. And so you're only bad teams are going to be considered here.
Totally.
So Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, New York Giants, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, Saints, Thomas Incoom from Carolina, who's on their bench, but he's had a good preseason, sacking the quarterback. Arden Key from Tennessee, who was here before, can play a little inside, a little outside. Trayvon Walker from Jacksonville, who I think they didn't pick up the 5th-year option. So he, who knows, he could be available. Yeah. Jalen Phillips from Miami. When he's healthy, he's a very good edge rusher. And obviously they're going nowhere. Michael Clemens and Will McDonald from the Jets, because you've got to think Jets about every pick with the Niners, because clearly they're listening to Robert Saleh a lot on these recommendations. And he drafted Will McDonald, who played with Brock Purdy at Iowa State. And Michael Clemens, in a lot of ways, is the physical prototype of exactly the defensive end that they would want if they could paint one out of Texas A&M. He's a little nasty. He's 6'4", 270. He's an edge setter like a Bosa as far as that goes. He's a very good edge setter. He's not Bosa, of course.
Right.
But Clemens is the same size as Bosa. Okay. Yeah. Then there's Joseph Osai from Cincinnati. And there's Derek Barnett and Darrell Taylor from Houston. Barnett's a little long in the tooth, and Taylor's hurt right now, but both those guys are options. So that's the list of what I would say the trade target list of those guys. I mean, there's a number of interesting guys there. What do you think? I mean, there's some guys there that could absolutely help the Niners. What do you like?
Burns, Phillips, Walker, McDonald, and Clemens are the names that pop off there.
That you like, yeah.
Now, I haven't looked at Brian Burns' contract. I imagine they're in the 2nd year of that. So they're probably able to wiggle out of it at the end of the year.
Burns is going to hurt you on the cap.
Yeah, but they got a lot of cap room.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And it probably won't cost that much cash. Walker is a really fun concept.
Trayvon Walker. First pick in the draft over Aiden Hutchinson. Thank you, Trent Baalke. You know what, relief? I like Aiden Hutchinson, Lowry, but I love Trayvon Walker.
I like Trayvon. I think Trayvon Walker's a good player. Now, he's no Aiden Hutchinson, obviously.
He's a good player, though. I mean, he's the first pick in the draft for a reason.
Yeah, I don't know about his fifth-year option situation. I'm not plugged in with what the Jags are doing, but
I don't think they picked it up.
That's wild.
He's a free agent at the end of the year.
I would go all in on that because that's buying low, and if he comes through, that's somebody that you can keep around at a reasonable rate, and that's a real talent. Like if he breaks through for the Niners, okay, you might lose him. Somebody might say, hey, he really broke out with the Niners. You give him good coaching. You put him in a good infrastructure. That's our guy moving forward. And then you just say, thanks, appreciate it. Don't get a comp pick or anything, which I know the Niners will be upset about. But you got what you needed, and no risk, no reward. But the reward could be one, you have a really good defensive end who doesn't have to be Nick Bosa, right? This is the other aspect of this. You're never going to get Nick Bosa. You can't get, unless you get Hendrickson, you're not getting an every down guy. So you just have another piece to this very complex puzzle that Robert Saleh is using and Chris Kuceric are doing on the defensive line. But if he can give you 35 good snaps and you can keep him out there when the run, when you're running, like that's great because you're using Michael all over the line. You have Gross Matos, you have a Sam Aquanu, you have Huff. Like you can mix and match, right? You can get a little funky with it. You don't have the starting pitchers, you got to use your bullpen. And sometimes you can get better performance out of going through 5 bullpen guys than one good starting pitcher. So I would go with Walker, and I think both of the Jets guys are absolutely spot on. You know that they're coming from a system that is going to be plug and play. They know Robert Saleh's language. They know what Chris Kuceric likes to do. Not even though they haven't been coached by him, they know what he likes to do because Robert Saleh wanted to do the same thing with the Jets. That's plug and play. I'd imagine that the Jets, I don't know when the Jets give up on this. They're kind of a weirdly run organization, which is why they consistently suck. So I'm not sure if they're going to be too keen to let Robert Saleh show them up in that regard, but that's politics, and sweetening the pot can always help that argument. I'm not sure if McDonald or Clemens is as interesting as Walker. And now all I want to do, Larry, is jump off this stream and go watch Walker tape. So thank you for that. Another bit of homework for me.
I think you did a good job. I think you did a good job of handicapping this. I really do. Because, okay, so let's talk it through for a sec. Yeah. One, Hendrickson and Burns are going to be expensive as far as contracts. Yeah. Everything about their offseason screams they're saving money. So it just doesn't seem like a big money contract acquisition. It's like they have all the big money players they want, really. I think. To
be fair, I mean, it would only be for the rest of the year, and right. I'm sure that the team that's trading them can hold on to some money, and so it's a short-term expenditure, but any expenditure does seem to be a little bit too much for the York family and ownership right now.
So I mean, I don't think they're in the mood to really spend money, but at the same time, I also think everybody's got to take a deep breath, okay? Yes, you lost Nick Bosa, okay? And Nick Bosa is a cornerstone player for the 49ers. Everybody knows that. But I think I think the organization and its fans all need to take just a collective deep breath and just be like, okay, you don't have to replace Nick Bosa. It's not like you have to go find another Nick Bosa. You don't. You just have to find somebody who can dial up some heat off the edge. That's really it. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. I'm not saying that Nick Bosa is not worth it, but it's a lot of he's a really good player in every phase, which is why he's getting paid so much. Yeah. But there are other guys, believe it or not, on this list that can rush the quarterback and stress out an offensive tackle, not exactly like Nick Bosa, but pretty damn close.
Right.
So Trayvon Walker is a major talent. He's kind of a more moves McKell,
Yes. We've had that conversation before that this is what you get when
McKell
you
is
take
coming.
guys from that Kirby Smart situation. Yeah.
This is what McKell potentially is going to be. Is going to be a guy like this who's just really, really. But McKell, he seems even stronger actually at the point than Trayvon Walker. But either way, Trayvon Walker would be nice, be really nice.
For what it's worth, by the way, they did pick up his 5th-year option.
They did
So
pick up the option. Okay, so
it's
he's there.
It's 15.1 million, and you can't cut, even though it's not
Okay, so
guaranteed money. You can't cut him.
So he's really in that category with Hendrickson and Burns. He's probably too pricey for them.
15 million is a lot easier to swallow, but you would have to have a conviction about Trayvon Walker. Like, oh, that guy's available. We've been eyeing him for a long time. Like, we want this dude. Like, we've allocated, that's part of the budget for a guy like Trayvon Walker, but for everybody else, not so much. Like, that's the kind of money.
So then if we go through the other options, Arden Key, I think is nice, but I don't think he's that much better than what you got.
It's going to be Arden Key, right? Like Arden Key's coming back.
Yeah, I mean Arden Key, I would say is highly likely to be the guy because they love.
I'm surprised he's not on the plane already.
No, seriously, Arden Key has decided to come back. And then, Jalen Phillips is a tremendous talent, but in a lot of ways, he's kind of like a Nick Bosa. He's like a really, really exciting rusher that can beat you with power or with speed. Oh, but by the way, he gets hurt.
Yep.
And this guy gets hurt more often. So I like Phillips a lot. His talent has always been off the charts. I liked him at UCLA. I liked him when he transferred to Miami. I mean, he's a good player anytime he's healthy, but he has a hard time staying healthy. And that goes back to all the way to college. So he's kind of an upright guy that exposes his legs. Any kind of low blocks, he's slow to react to it. He's gotten chopped a million times, and he gets hurt. He's a 6'5" guy with a long frame, and he gets swallowed up in the run game. Even though he's big and got a big body, he's much more of a finesse edge rush.
Narrow.
Yeah, he's a narrow pass rusher.
By the way, so is Will McDonald. It's unbelievable how that guy gets anywhere. I mean, he weighs nothing, but
Will McDonald's like 240, but Will McDonald is a much better athlete.
Stronger somehow.
Will McDonald is like a Mr. Olympia. I mean, he's just he's got spin moves and all kinds of balance and explosiveness. I think if I was looking at this list, I think I would try to get both those guys from the Jets. Just say, you know what? You're not going to be able to replace Nick with one guy, but how about Will McDonald and Michael Clemens for a 4th round pick? Or how about Will McDonald and Michael Clemens for a 3rd round pick?
Yeah.
If they want to squeeze you. But I mean, I don't think the Niners are going to be operating from strength. So I think they're going to wind up paying through the nose, but that's the direction I would go. Will McDonald would be an incredible speed rusher. Clemens would be a great first and second down run defender. Probably having 2 over 1 might actually be advantageous to their situation. Having the 2 guys over the 1, I think that would be kind of intriguing. So that's the direction I would go. Will McDonald and Michael Clemens with the Jets. Trayvon Walker, though, is exciting. And I think Incoom is kind of a sleeper.
That's a good name. And it's a hilarious name, so that's really fun. I would I will say, I mean, another aspect of this is I don't think that the Niners are going to do anything immediately. They're going to see how the next, I forget when the trade deadline is, but the next month plays out. And if they'll be in a circumstance where it's like, oh, we're 7-1, like we got to go. Like, this is our chance. Like, we're really good. And we're one Nick Bosa or one, pass rusher away from feeling like we're the team to beat in the NFC. That's a circumstance that could very well happen. And when that's the case, do they pony up? The issue is when you wait that long, now you're in competition, and there might be more names that come into play, right? Guys get injured and teams start fading, and now another defensive end that we're not talking about today looks like he's a more viable trade candidate. But like every team, again, I keep going back to the reliever analogy because I'm very narrow-brained, but every team, like at the trade deadline in baseball, every team's looking for a really good reliever or 2. You can never have enough good arms in your bullpen. What's every team looking for come trade deadline in the NFL? Like, no, you're not. Yes, do they all want an offensive lineman or this? No, what they really want is somebody at defensive end, because defensive end is typically plug and play. Right. You don't need more than a week to just get in there and figure it out. You could sign a guy off the street and start him on Sunday. It won't go great, but you can do it. And every team's looking for, that impact defensive end, that guy that you can give 15 snaps a game, and he might be the difference in the contest, especially a big contest or a playoff contest. So the price is just going to go up. And I think that the Niners have a pretty low threshold for what they're willing to give up in draft pick compensation, which brings us back to Arden Key. You say that you should get both of these Jets guys because two is better than one, and I agree with you on that. But you're already counting. One is Arden Key. So who fits well with Arden Key, Larry?
The Niners will bring back Arden Key. The seven, all roads lead back to Arden Key. I like Arden Key.
That 7th round pick is already burning a hole in the Titans' pocket.
Arden Key was a blue chip recruit coming out of high school.
Unbelievable Clemson player too.
Yeah, I mean, he's
3 overall pick. I remember when the Raiders took him.
He was considered going into his final year in college. He was considered to be a top of the first round kind of a guy. It didn't happen for him, but he's had a nice NFL career, and he was good in San Francisco. And he's a good interior rusher. He might be better as an interior rusher though than as an edge rusher. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to the best players that are available, because those guys those are trades, and we went free agents. We went in house. Let's go practice squad. And so I did the exercise for you, so you don't have to do it.
I appreciate that.
And
I knew you would.
I knew I would.
And I thought about looking this up, and I go, Larry's already got this. We're good.
This is what I'm made for. All right. This is why I'm here. Okay.
If I need a dude who knows dudes on practice squads, I go to Larry Krueger.
Right.
He's the practice squad whisperer.
Seriously. I mean, the phone rings late at night. I'm just joking. All right, here we go. This is what I scoured the practice squad. What I'm looking for is just who could give you some rush up front.
Right.
And, and I wasn't expecting to find much, but I was surprised by what I found. Mm-hmm. Okay. I really was shocked to find any talent at all on the practice squad, but this is the list. Okay. And they're all, Andre Carter, formerly of Army, 6'6", about 255. He's on Detroit's practice squad. Really tall, angular guy, not a great run defender, not a great bulk, but pretty good pass rusher. Kind of not a lot of moves though, but was a pretty good player at Army. Khalid Kareem, former Notre Dame defensive end on Atlanta's practice squad. Not the greatest, but not the worst. Yeah. I'm going worst to first. Eric Watts on the Jets practice squad.
Okay.
He's kind of an interesting name.
Yeah.
Ethan Downs, who played at Oklahoma, is on Kansas City's practice squad, and he's got a good practice squad. Yeah, they do. They do. And Brett Veach cares about his practice squad.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah. No, seriously. He really does.
We had this conversation last week. It's like, who are the two best teams if you were to say functionally in the NFL in roster? It's like Eagles and Chiefs, the teams that played in the Super Bowl. It's like, which two teams care most about their practice squad? Eagles and Chiefs.
Yeah, maybe Baltimore too.
Starting to think that might be a connection.
Ali Gay is on the LSU defensive end. Is on Tennessee's practice squad. Always liked him. He was a very highly recruited guy once upon a time.
I dig that.
Isaiah Foskey is a Bay Area kid. He went to De La Salle. He's on the Bengals practice squad after the Saints cut him in camp. Foskey's not old. He came to the Niners local pro day once upon a time. He would love to be a Niner.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the guys that are on the list that I don't like. Okay. Now here are the guys that are on the list that I do like. I don't know if you've seen this guy. This guy's a real sleeper. John Schneider has got a good eye for talent. And they've got a guy on their practice squad, a defensive end from South Alabama named Jamie Sheriff.
I remember Jamie Sheriff. Yeah.
6'1", 255 pounds. He's short, but he's a quarterback hunter.
Yeah.
Okay. Really underrated guy.
That's a good name.
Kind of violent, kind of really raw, but very interesting. Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. He's bounced around the league a lot.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah.
That would
if I'm recalling.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this is his second go around with Seattle.
New England has two guys that I really like. Braden Swinson, who played at LSU, who's in this last draft, and he looks the part, man. We're talking about 6'4", 250. He's ripped up. He's probably a little weak against the run.
You were a big fan of him in the draft.
I liked him in the draft, and I still like him. And to me, this would be a good time to go after a guy like that. They also have a guy named Truman Jones, who was on Kansas City's practice squad last year. He played at Harvard. And this guy is a freaky athlete. 6'2", 255, 37-inch vertical, 4.6 speed. He's like kind of your workout warrior, Harvard developmental edge guy. Truman Jones, New England. Okay.
Jones. Not familiar, but
all right.
Interesting.
The guy who they're most likely to sign off the practice squad is Cleveland Farrell, who is on Jim Harbaugh's practice squad with the Chargers. I thought Cleveland Farrell was 32. He's 28.
Yeah.
He was here before, and he can play the run. He's not going to give you much as a pass rusher.
I always get him and Arden Key mixed up. I was everything that I had said about Arden Key was actually about Cleveland Farrell. Arden Key went to LSU, and Cleveland Farrell went to Clemson, was a 5-star and a big-time player.
Right. Went 4th in the draft. Thank you, Mike Mayock.
That's right. Yeah, that's what a day. What a day that was. Well, he's a high character guy, and Cleveland Farrell. Whenever I would go to like the Raiders facility, or even now, I cross this bridge every day in Alameda to go to Bay Farm Island over by the Oakland airport. And he used to fish over there like every day.
Really?
So if you ever needed to talk to him, you knew where to find him. He was fishing.
I love talking to Clee, man. I talked to him a bunch.
He's a great guy.
Great guy. Great interview.
He still
too.
is, probably. I spoke about him in the past tense. He's a real living person who's alive. Yeah.
He's just dead from the Niners for the moment, but he could be back if they want. And any of these guys on the practice squad could be plucked tomorrow if you want to place them on your own active roster and the Niners have a hole. So here are the 3 names that I like the most.
Wow. Okay, great.
Okay. The Ravens, of course, have a guy that I'm sure you and Jake broke down in the draft, K'Mon Rucker.
Yes.
Defensive end. He's a little short, but he's productive edge rusher. He's 250 pounds. He was good at North Carolina. He's a little small for what the Niners like, but he can get after the quarterback. K'Mon Rucker.
Okay.
That's
it's interesting because I don't think that he was on the Niners' radar. That's just kind of really tying together some loose leaves when we're reading the tea leaves here.
Okay.
Because
why is that? Why do you think he's not on their radar?
The size issue.
Yeah, he's in the 255 range. They're looking for bigger guys typically.
Yeah, like if you are proven as an elite speed rusher, like they'll put up with your size deficiency, but like he's not that. Like he's not Huff. So I don't think that he was on their radar. And so I'm going to, especially, and then we joked about it the last show, like they just go with guys they already know or guys that they really like during the draft process. Well, they know Arden Key and they know Clee Farrell. And I don't think that Rucker was on their radar. They could pretend like he was, but from everything I could tell, he wasn't somebody that they were valuing. And I don't think they even placed a call for him in undrafted free agency.
So Rucker would be number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is not even a defensive end. He's more of a defensive tackle, but he's just an odd-shaped defensive lineman who's a freakish athlete with unbelievable athleticism, a crazy motor, and I've just seen this guy win. He just wins all the time. He's 5'11", 6 feet, 275 pounds. Elijah Chapman from the New York Giants, who played at SMU, is on the Giants practice squad. This guy ran 35 yards down the field to run down a running back last year. He has an unbelievable motor. He's a crazy athlete. He's probably best as a nose guard, but I mean, he's really, really athletic, really, really quick.
He's
crazy
a gap
motor.
splitter.
He's strong as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy like this has got enough bend. He's such a good athlete. I would put him out there and just see what happens. That's
a worthwhile dart throw because he's a gap splitter.
He's a pro athlete is what he is.
Yeah,
he
gets
a
in the
professional
backfield,
athlete. He's 280 pounds.
No technique. Nothing. I mean, nothing. No technique. But
no, he's just a crazy athlete.
Fire. So what's the worst case scenario there? Okay, you know what Gibson is. You know what Beal is. Beal is so bad that nobody was like, we'll take his garbage contract. No one even wanted to put him. No one wanted to pick him up. No one wanted to put him on their 53. And he came on back to their practice squad. You know, some teams some players, it's like, we're not going to pick you up on waivers, but like, we'd love you to come be on our practice squad. And, Robert Beal, I would imagine at this point is like, yeah, I feel like my time in San Francisco is up. And yet here he is still here in Santa Clara. And it's because that there's not a lot of interest in him. And Gibson, they were able to sign off the street halfway through training camp. So do you want to promote those guys to your 53? Or do you want to have a 2 or 3 week dart throw with one of these guys like Chapman and just see what's up? And if it doesn't work out, what'd you lose? It doesn't cost much cash-wise. He's not costing you any draft picks. Like, you're in a situation where you got to try some stuff. And I would rather spend the next 2 and 3 weeks figuring out if a guy like Chapman, and I'm sure the next guy you name, is capable of making something happen for you before I slide in somebody who I pretty much know is not going to make something happen for you, but they know the system, Larry. They know the system, so it's important they stay.
So Elijah Chapman's my number 2, just on pure athleticism. I love that kid, and he's on the Giants practice squad, and why the hell not? Number 1 on my list, and I would sign this guy tomorrow. I'm a huge fan, always have been. Mo Kamara, who played at Colorado State, and he was drafted by Miami.
He was a beast at Colorado State.
Didn't work out at Miami. Now he's at Tampa, and he's on their practice squad. And I was looking at a quote from his college coach, Larry Foote.
Yeah.
All right, not his college coach, his pro coach with Tampa, the linebacker coach in Tampa, Larry Foote, the former Michigan Wolverine. He said, this is what he said about Kamara. He's got juice. I liked him coming out of Colorado State. When they ran to me, said they had an opportunity to get him, I was excited. I'm glad we got him. He's been a joy to coach. Okay. So now I want to share the screen real quick because I thought this was a great video.
Yeah.
This is, wait a second. No, wrong.
The opposite of what you want to do there, Larry.
I just took myself out of the video altogether. All right, I'll share the screen.
I can't break down Mo Kamara tape for you.
This is Baldi. This is Baldi and Kamara coming out in the draft. Listen to what he said. That's a pretty good breakdown.
Yeah.
Muhammad Kamara here, Colorado State. Watch him dip and rip and go through the inside shoulder of the tackle to get to Shedeur Sanders. Like, he's just a football player. You watch him right here, set the edge, okay, hold his ground. Now, run and chase. He runs, he's 6'1.5", 248 pounds, like ran in the 4.5s. You watch him right here, and he's a spy on Shedeur. Shedeur breaks the pocket. Here he comes. Plants Sanders right into the turf. Got him eating grass seed right there and in home field. Like, everywhere he goes, like, you watch this right here and you go, watch the quickness to defeat the guard and the running back. Here it comes. Just powers right through it, takes down the quarterback. All right, watch him turn the corner here, the takeoff, the turn the corner, and he stays off the ground. Like, there he is, palms on the ground, but he stays up with the tackle on top of him to get to the quarterback. You know, he had 29 sacks the last 3 years, but it's tackle for losses, it's sacks, it's safeties, it's fumble recoveries for touchdowns. It's everything.
I mean, you get the picture. I mean, he goes on for another minute there,
awesome.
But Kamara was really good at Colorado State. He's on Tampa's practice squad. Jason Licht is a good personnel guy, so he stacks his practice squad with a lot of good players on it. I just think that's the guy. He's he said he's 248. Yeah, he's 248 at Colorado State. He's probably in the low 260s right now, high 250s. You're not going to find somebody 275. It's not going to be a perfect thing. But what you really need, and what the Niners, I think, have, what the first 3 weeks, what they should have learned from the first 3 weeks, is that if you can put 2 speedy edge dynamos out there and make those tackles kick out, whether you've got a Bosa-like guy to set the edge or not, if you can get those tackles to flare out and you can create that space in the middle, then, yeah, you got guys like Gross Matos and Mikel who absolutely can consistently knife through those gaps, win against the run or the pass, and really give you kind of a chaotic, awesome, speed-oriented defensive line. So I know everybody's going, oh, my God, they lost Bosa. It's over. And I get that. And I understand Bosa's really special.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they have what they need right now on their roster or on their practice squad. But if they could add either via trade or practice squad or both, a couple of pieces of guys who have some athleticism off the edge, I do think they've got good enough teachers and enough speed on all three levels of the defense to have a good defense.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. They're, again, starting at a much better spot than I certainly expected. And I think they expected to start out with. And I do think that the return safety is going to be huge. They're in a really good position. I'm my head is spinning about Mo Kamara because one of my favorite players in this past year's draft was Josiah Stewart, and not so coincidentally, the Rams ended up taking him 90th overall, pass rusher out of Michigan, and I thought he was more of like a day 3 guy, but they took him at 90, and he's been really good for them to start. He's part of the rotation, all this. Mo Kamara is like a better prospect than Josiah Stewart. Legitimate. Like, I think he's a better prospect. And I was unaware that he was not on a 53-man roster.
I wasn't either. I thought he was.
That has to be the play.
Yeah.
Larry, you will not get this from me often. You're spot on. No further analysis needed. It has to be Mo Kamara.
On that note, we moved to sleeper. I got Dieter to agree with me. And no, I'm just joking. We do not sit here and try to butter each other's muffins. So I'm just giving you my honest breakdown.
I got plenty of muffin. There's not enough butter over here. Larry, if you want to start buttering the muffin, I'm all ears.
Let's go to our sleeper breakdown. 49er football season on the Krueger Show, presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time picks, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. When you choose 2 to 8 players per pregame or live, and you just pick more or less on their stat projections, it's a lot of fun. I've won a lot. I mean, I've won most weeks. If you're new to it, use the promo code Larry. You'll get a $100 deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. I believe Dieter and I won on our last one. The link is right there in the description. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's make a lineup. Let's make a lineup.
We doing it for Thursday night football?
Yes, we are. Thursday night football.
Seahawks.
What is it? It's
Cardinal Seahawks.
Cardinal
Back-to-back
Seahawks,
NFC
the
West.
division. All right, let's go Jackson Smith Najigba.
Yeah,
who is
careful there with that pronunciation, my friend.
Is really, really good. This guy's really good. And what's that? 80.5 receiving yards? Nah, we're going. Come on.
Yeah,
seriously. Let's go. Let's go.
I mean, do I need to provide the analysis about how they're moving him around the formation and how that's created him being the first read on almost every play? No, but I did.
Yeah, no, he's good. All right, let's go to another guy. You pick.
Trey Benson, the running back.
No, not him. No, yes, Trey Benson, who's now, based on what I saw this weekend, the primary back.
I like receiving yards.
Receiving yards. Is that? Oh, that's that one. 20.5 receiving yards. Did they throw him the ball?
Well, they throw anybody who's anywhere near Kyler Murray at about 3 seconds after the play of the ball because Kyler doesn't push the ball downfield unless the window is about 15 yards wide. They threw the ball to Connor a lot on Sunday. Then Connor got injured. And then they do have DeMercado as their third down back, but Benson is going to be just the Connor replacement. He's going to get 25. He might be on like 7, 9, 12 catches, but he'll get the 20.5 over.
All right. Let's go with it. More than 20.5. Who else do we want to go with?
Bet against Kyler Murray because I hate watching him play football.
Sure. Go back to Kyler.
I can't stand him.
They
get. By the way, just a quick aside, they got to get rid of him. He is holding. I think that Arizona roster is super talented and really good and well coached, and he is the weak link. He is.
What didn't you like about his game history? I thought he actually, he's a hard guy to defend because he really does throw the ball well.
Well, he doesn't see. He's got the Jimmy G offense. Actually, it's more of a Tua offense. It's one read, and the amount of times that he just broke the pocket when there was no pressure to just run, which is of middling success these days. There's no zip on any deep ball, so he doesn't even try anymore. The entire offense is just throw it to the flat, throw it to the flat, throw it to the flat, which, by the way, I don't know.
He completes a high percentage.
They had 3 10 plus play drives in the first half of that game that combined for like 110 yards total. They had like 30 plays for like 110 yards. It's dink and dunk to the utmost degree. Again, Tua's doing it behind the line of scrimmage. He's doing it 1 yard past the line of scrimmage. It's the same shit. It's so annoying to watch. He's the weak link, and he missed so many open windows because he just can't see it. He's awful. I hate watching him. He's got to go. Like, I'm turning into a Cardinals fan just so that I can bitch about this guy. If they had Mac Jones in there, they'd be a better team. Legitimately. They got to do something over there. So bet against him.
Okay, so where do you want to bet against him? I would probably go with less than 209 passing yards.
I'm with you. That's a great play because you think that he can't see it against the 49ers. Is he going to be able to see it against the chaos defense of a Mike McDonald on a Thursday? Hell no.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's going to have to really play well. Let's do one more here. Give me a Seahawk. What's the Seahawks?
Horton's an interesting player here.
You like Horton?
Yeah, let's see what those numbers are. We want to get really saucy. How about that anytime touchdown on Torrey Horton?
Oh, that's got to pay well.
I think that they're really starting to look for him in the red zone.
Let's go with it. Let's go anytime touchdown on Torrey Horton.
Yeah.
Let's see what this pays. This is
he had two tutties on Sunday. One of them was
Ooh, look at that. If we hit this,
baby.
$5 to win 116.05.
I love every one of these bets.
So
I'm so excited.
Kyler Murray under 209. I'm going to write these down.
Yeah, I'm writing it down. I got it. I know Kyler under 209.5 in my heart. Like that one will not be forgotten. Horton
Kyler,
touchdown.
minus less than 209.5 pass yards.
Benson more than 20.5 receiving yards.
Horton touchdown. Benson 20.5.
JSN over 80.5. More than.
Yep, more than. There we go.
Larry, this is the greatest ticket I've ever seen assembled.
If we go 5 for 5, we win 116.05.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty good.
And look at that free cancellation as well for the next 4 minutes and 11 seconds.
Look at that. Big thanks to Sleeper. Remember, use code Larry for 100% deposit match up to $100. It's a lot of fun. The link's right in the description. Terms apply. Help support the show and get you rolling on the #1 sports app, Sleeper.
Big fan of Sleeper.
Thank you, Sleeper.
Me and all my friends use Sleeper.
I love Sleeper.
It's factually true because we're in a fantasy football league on Sleeper together.
I love Sleeper more than I love anything else in this world.
Well,
the Krueger show
have priorities.
Insane amount of confidence from both of you.
This is going to be the one time where it doesn't work out. But like, I'll say this: there's going to be more confidence in this one because we've seen both of these teams play. We're very familiar with these teams. I can break down both of these teams. Like when you're like Dieter, Titans and Jaguars, and I'm like, okay. What did Boomer say on NFL Primetime? That's about my deep level of analysis there. Meanwhile, I'm like, let's talk about the tight fronts that they're going to be running. Let's talk about Jackson Smith and Jigba in the first read on a Florida concept. Like I can talk that stuff. It's still bullshit, but I can still talk it.
We are an hour and 3 minutes in. I told you before, I said, maybe we're thinking about maybe 90 tonight.
Never happened once. It will never happen.
Which would mean, and by the way, I just want the audience to know, I have exactly 7 topics tonight, or 8 topics tonight. And we've only gotten through the first one with Nick Bosa out for the year. Do the Niners still have Super Bowl hopes? And how do they replace him? But we knew we were going to go a long time on the first topic.
Those are the big ones.
We'll pick up the pace. Now we're going to pick up the pace.
A block was strong. Let's see what the B block can bring.
All right, here we go. Topic number 2. Let's get it revved up. I wish we had graphics like, 2.
If only you had like 7 people under your employ, Lair.
Seriously. Kev, can I get graphics, some kind of exploding 2?
Second take.
Take 2.
Yeah. Listen, I've worked on the TV side. You're going to need more than Kevin for that.
Kev's like, I can do that.
I know you think you can. Insane confidence from Kevin right now.
Oh, insane confidence. Look how cocky. He can do it all. Guy can do it all.
All right. What's the next topic, Larry?
TG says Larry's in a sauna. Thank you.
Listen, I might hop in the sauna. Y'all can't see. Well, I'm not going to show you because there's some Amazon boxes. But I have a sauna in the room I'm in. Nice. I'm excited. I'm going to take a sweat after this.
Are you?
Yeah, I tried to take a sweat.
You have an indoor sauna?
Yeah, my wife got me an infrared sauna for Christmas 2 years ago. It's the best.
It's like a big gigantic box. Like one that you can actually sit in?
It's a wood box with a bunch of like radiator panels.
It's got lighting and everything inside?
Oh, yeah. They got the LEDs going and everything. It's right next to that giant mirror in the Scotland flag.
You can just sweat it off. I like the steam more than the sauna. Wait a second.
That's the sauna.
Wait, where am I? What am I looking at? I'm looking at
a box. A sauna.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And then there's a Peloton behind me. You can't see the other stuff.
Oh, you fell for the Peloton. You fell for the Peloton.
I use the Peloton almost every day. You won't be able to tell based on my body, but I do.
All right, stop bragging.
Hardly a brag. It's not working.
All right, topic 2, as we get to our second topic in a brisk fashion. The 49ers get a nice win over the Cardinals. Give me your just, your one, the biggest positive and the big outside of the Bosa injury, which we've covered ad nauseum. Right. Give me your biggest positive, biggest negative from the win. Go ahead, fire away.
Positive is Pearsall. I mean, it's not a new development, but like he's the dude. He's the dude for this offense. And for Mac, again, backup quarterback Mac Jones, but Mac showed a lot of understanding and connection with Juwan Jennings in the first game that he played against the Saints. A lot of anticipatory throws. He was looking for Juwan. And I was a little bit concerned for the 49ers offense, and perhaps even that concern bore out early in the game when they just couldn't move the damn ball, that Mac wouldn't be able to find that with Ricky because they just didn't have that much time together. Ricky was always running with the ones. He was always getting passes from Purdy because he was like the only healthy receiver in training camp, and he wasn't even there the entire time. And so, like, Mac didn't get a lot of reps with him. He didn't have it with Jennings, but, like, they're both slow. So maybe they understood each other in terms of pacing. For them to they really started moving the ball when Kyle did sort of a quasi hurry up, and they started figuring out ways to get Ricky Pearsall on that deep dig or that over route. And that just developed into something more. And this is one of the premier receivers in the NFL right now. And it will be a question because it's his first full year if he can maintain. And certainly the targets are going to be more spread out moving forward with some talent coming back into the fold in the receiver room. But Ricky Pearsall not only looks like a guy who deserves the attention of the quarterback, the primary attention of a quarterback, but he looks like somebody who can be an offense mover. And yesterday, 70% of the targets went to Christian McCaffrey or Ricky Pearsall. That was the fucking offense. And it wasn't a great offensive day by any stretch, but it was an effective enough offensive day. They won the game. So I thought that Pearsall took another step in what has been, now a couple steps forward in his career. We saw the beginning, a first step late last year. I thought that the first game was another step forward for him and how he performed against the Seahawks. And then this was just another step forward. And by the end of the year, if he keeps at this level, keeps taking, a step every game or two, you really got something there. And that's very exciting for the future of the 49ers.
Nah,
and the
no
bad,
question.
the bad is,
yeah.
Where do we start?
Who do you got?
The offensive line had a really tough day. Now, Connor Colby, understandably not as good in game 2 as he was in game 1. I thought that a lot of Brendel's mistakes were trying to cover up for Connor Colby. I thought that Trent took a step back from where he was in week 2 and looked more like week 1. It wasn't all the way week 1, but it was closer to week 1 than it was week 2. I thought Pooney had a straight up bad game. Like my initial thought was, he had a pretty good game and he had a couple pancake blocks in the run game. And, he had the worst play of the game, but you look at it again and you're like, actually, I think he was getting his ass kicked most of the time. If not for Colton McKivitz, it would have been a clean sweep of bad games for the 49ers offensive line. And while I do think, and we'll talk about later, there are some larger issues at play with the run game. Like, this is no way to live. It's just no way to live having, even against a really good defense, just a questionable offensive line in both the run and the pass game. And I don't think these guys are just going to start getting healthier, right? I just think there's more wear and tear now, and I think wear and tear is kind of the biggest issue at hand. Colby didn't look like the same guy that we saw in week 1. Apparently, he picked up an injury late in the week. We know that Trent's playing banged up. Brendel is kind of always banged up, and it looks like he picked up something here. We know Pooney's playing injured. Like, you can't throw in a backup anymore. I mean, we're already on number 2 with Connor Colby here. So, like, you can't be throwing backups across the board and saying, the Chris Forrester will figure out everything will be A-okay. I'm seeing an injured offensive line play like an injured offensive line. And while I do think that Jacksonville is not going to challenge them in the same way that Arizona did or New Orleans did or Seattle did, I know the Rams will. And I know there are plenty of other teams on the schedule that will. And I don't know if one mini bye can heal all that ails this offensive line physically right now.
Okay. Good stuff.
Where'd you go, Lair?
Okay. For me, I like to go micro and then macro, and then, I'll alternate back and forth. And to me, I'm looking at this, giving a little bit of a macro on this 49er defense. And I watch a lot of football, and I looked at I watched almost ridiculous amounts of preseason ball. It's sad. And I watch, at least 3 games a week, plus the Niner game like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
So I'm watching a lot of ball, and I really think that the Niners had 5 guys that on their defense that are playing the best of anybody who's playing their position right now. I think Lenore's playing as well as almost any corner. I thought Bosa was playing as well as almost any defensive end based on what I saw. I think Huff is playing at a ridiculous rate.
Yes.
And what his impact is extraordinary. And Fred Warner and D. Winters are both playing like all-pro linebackers, flying around with instincts, with speed, attacking what they see, dominating the second level. And it reminds me of Bowman and Willis, and it reminds me of Fred and Dre. And it also reminds me is that we hadn't really seen Fred and Dre operating together at a high rate, for a long time. Because
first half of the 2023 Super Bowl.
Yeah, because it's like they've always been injured, and it's like we've just gotten little moments of that. And now we've got Winters and Warner playing at a really, really high level. And you forget when you have 2 inside backers like that can run and have great instincts, and they're both playing at that high level. So they Niners have, now they have 4 because Bosa's out. Right. But 4 guys playing awesome football.
Absolutely.
On their defense. So, we can say Saleh, and there's no question Saleh's great. But don't forget that Huff, Warner, Winters, and Lenore are playing really close to almost perfect football right now.
Yes.
So that's the positive. The negative is, and I don't even know who to blame, if it's Shanahan, if it's the mindset, if it's Juice, if it's Brendel, if it's CMC. The Niners have the wrong old school 1980s, 1990s mindset on the goal line. Get with the analytics crowd. Come aboard. You listen. I gotta think their analytics people are not advising them to do what they do inside the 5 and in the low red zone. The Eagles are going to be better than you, even if you're better than them, even if you have better talent. If they can run the ball in the low red zone and push in the low red zone, and you have to pass on 4th and 1 from the 1, if you have to pass on 4th and 1 from the 1 and they can push, there's almost no way that you could beat them without really just a lot of good fortune and lucky bounces.
Yeah, you're playing on a longer field than them.
And you're not executing in the money area. In the red zone. The 49ers were a top 10 defense last year and in yards, and they were a bottom 3rd defense in points allowed because they were horse shit in the red zone. And they weren't good defensively in the red zone. I think they'll be better this year, but they were really bad offensively in the red zone, and they easily just kind of pointed to, well, we didn't have Christian. Okay, but that's a little too convenient. You can't run the ball in the low red zone. You have one of the best backs in football. You have a center that you proclaim that you love, that you've told me over and over again is really good. So tell me why. Tell me why you can't run in the red zone. Tell me why you're trying to fool people on 4th and 1 from the 1 instead of punching him in the mouth and going right on through. You're one of like 5 teams in pro football that carries a fullback. He's an all-pro player. You're paying him multi-millions of dollars a year. You have a multi-million-dollar a year fullback. You have one of the best running backs in the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
You claim to love the center. So why can't you run? Why are you not even trying to run? I'm tired of Shanahan coaching around the weaknesses of his football team. I won't play football and let the chips fall. Stop trying to fool everybody. They got out of the huddle with 6 seconds on the clock.
Right.
There was 4 seconds on the clock when they got to the line of scrimmage. They rushed to get that off. You're going to rush to get off a 4th and goal play from the 1 when you have timeouts to have a pass play? I mean, that's just horrible, 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 horrible. They have to do better in the red zone. They have to, the play call, they have to change their mindset from the 80s, 90s, run to set. I mean, we're going to fool them. Run the ball. And if you can't run the ball, then you got to figure out why you can't run the ball.
I mean, I think that they knew that their offensive line wasn't getting any push. They couldn't run the ball no matter where they were on the field.
They haven't been able to run the ball all year, but
Right.
they claim it's because they're going against 2-shell defenses.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I do think that there's a different thing. Like the concept, 2-shell
That's why
defense.
they don't get explosive runs, is what they're saying.
Oh, well, they're not getting even regular runs. So it's McCaffrey is making mountains out of molehills here with what he's getting blocked. I'll say that rationale kind of lends itself to my offensive line argument, but I'll add one more thing on it. If you are going to go the route of we're going to trick you, how about you do something cooler than what you're doing? Like maybe don't run the basic day one install plays as your misdirections. So today we saw the Lions run a fullback option.
Saw that.
With Amon-Ra St. Brown lined up as in the I-4. They used a Michigan I formation, or I'm sorry, a Maryland I formation today, which was badass. But
it was a really effective way to quickly get to the edge.
Correct. And here's the wildest part. Here's the wildest part of that. I know the 49ers have that play in their arsenal because I've seen them run that play. They were in Chicago, and they ran the fullback option with Kyle Juszczyk, and it worked wonderfully. It was an unbelievably good play. Now, I can remember they were in Chicago so many times over the years, which is just a weird quirk of the scheduling in 3rd and 4th place and all that nonsense. But I know they have that play. Run that play. Where's your creative stuff? Where's your cool 2-point conversion plays? That's what you should. If you don't think you could run it, okay. Larry disagrees. I think we all disagree. If you can run it, you can run it. But if you don't think you can run it, that's fine. Where's your cool shit? Where's your cool shit? They don't have that. That's my bigger concern. They don't have the kind of creativity. Everything is a play that was set up by the other play. And Kyle even explained this. Why'd you run that weird play where Christian McCaffrey still has Wilson's, number 2 embedded in his chest? It's like, oh, you didn't think. So Kyle goes, well, we thought that play was going to be there because of the way that we had done the play before. Everything is about, I ran this play to set up that play. That's Kyle's entire mindset. This sets up that. It might be the next play. It might be a quarter or a month later, but everything sets up something else. It is a beautiful symphony in Kyle Shanahan's mind, and every note has a coda and all this nonsense. I'm not going to throw out a bunch of music terms that I don't know anything about, but even when you're at the 1-yard line, and you just need to get someone open to get them the ball, whether that be because you're blocking well or because they are wide open in the end zone. You're still thinking about, oh, that play set up this play. And that's why they're running to the line of scrimmage. That's why, it's like, dude, just run your cool plays, but you don't have any because it's always about setting up. Nothing operates in a vacuum for Kyle Shanahan, but some plays in the NFL should operate in a vacuum. You should have some cool stuff on the side, especially for 2-point conversions and stuff that you're ready to go with. And I'm yet to see a cool 2-point conversion play. And frankly, I haven't seen much cool stuff from the 49ers at all. Now they have, Kyle has had a couple of really good games of actual coordination and play sequencing. There's no one better in the NFL at play sequencing than Kyle Shanahan. And you ask any offensive coach, any defensive coach, they'll tell you nobody sequences plays better. but he doesn't have the cool stuff. And that is, I don't know if that's a separating point between him and other coordinators in the NFL when it comes to greatness, but it is certainly a point of differentiation between him and, like the Ben Johnson, who has a lot of cool stuff. And apparently John Morton stole a bunch of his cool stuff there are teams that do cool stuff. And I'm not saying do it just because I want to see cool stuff. It would be useful for this team, which you clearly don't think has the personnel in place on the field to execute what it is you want to execute. So you're rushing into stuff. So I would hope if Kyle does have a little notebook full of the really funky stuff, that he gets it out and he starts using it, because it can be used.
I agree. One of the big questions I have is about the usage of Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So, if you asked me at the beginning of the year, hey, man, they got 2 backs, and what do you think? They got 2 starting backs. What would you think for? I'm like, well, I know Kyle likes to use Christian a lot, but you got 2 starting running backs, so I think it's going to be I think it would be like maybe a 60-40 split, maybe 65-35. Maybe certain days would be like maybe 70-30. Christian is on pace for 436 touches. In this last game, he had 59 touches, and Brian Robinson had 6.
Yeah.
That ratio doesn't work for me, and I know I'm glad to be 3-0, but
he had 2 against the Cardinals. He had 2 carries. He had 6 against the Saints. Every week it's gone down. It was 9, then it was 6. Then
well, no, I'm sure he played special teams. That's what it counts. It counts
snaps. Yeah.
So it was six total. Let me see. Yeah, these are 6 snaps. 6 snaps for Brian Robinson. If I misspoke, 59 snaps for Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
But I mean, that's not nearly enough for Robinson. You got to get Robinson a little bit more. They got to spend a little bit more. I know the game's tight, and then you got to show
from him that says that he should be playing more.
He had the longest run of the day.
Yeah, he didn't know the play.
It was a toss play.
Yeah, before that play, he was on the wrong side of the 4. They almost had to call a timeout.
He was a starting running back. You got him to. I want to make sure that I don't want to have a good month and then kiss off Christian for the year. I want to see Christian last for the whole year. Protect Christian from himself. Stop using him so much. 59. That's just not. You're not going to be able to keep this pace up. No. And I know you got other guys coming back, and you're trying to get through these games and win when you can win. And this, but I mean, what the heck? What's Brian Robinson supposed to think? This guy was a pretty good running back, and he's not really getting any opportunities to run the ball. I want to see him get more.
Good. He's not good.
Well, we're not going to find out if we don't play him. I mean, this guy.
Washington told you they traded him and they gave up money. I mean, he's not good, and he can't do what the Niners need their running back to do. Yeah, well, that was a long time ago. He's 26 years old now.
But he's not good. All he's got to be is a change of pace. All he's got to be is a power change of pace for a CMC. It's not like he's got to be some home run monster. We're just talking about a guy who's going to give you, 12 carries and 48 yards. I mean, and maybe some goal line carries.
They tried that concept against Seattle, and he got 3.7 yards per carry. And honestly, that was a bit of a gift. And then, they tried it again against New Orleans in the first half, and it was another 3 yards a carry. He doesn't get anything more than what's blocked for him, and this offensive line isn't blocking very well in the run game.
Well, I think what you're seeing, and there's lots of backs like this. They're the kinds of backs that they're one level, and then once they get into a rhythm, they're at another level, and that's Brian Robinson. He's a rhythm back. Watch, there'll be a game where he gets a few carries, gets in a rhythm, and it will look much different. And people will be like, "Oh, he looks a lot better." Yeah,
I don't think he's going to make it to the point in the season, Larry, where he's going to get a shot to show that, because I think they're going to replace him with Jordan James starting on Sunday.
Really? This week? You think Jordan James?
I would imagine that Jordan James
I have
is in there.
No idea what to expect from Jordan James. None.
They like him.
They like him.
They think that he
did have a couple of practice days where he caught the ball very, very well.
That's the big issue with Robinson. That's the reason that Washington got rid of him. He can't do anything.
He can't catch it.
He can't catch it. He can't see it, and he can't catch it. It's a dangerous combination. At least Isaac Guerrero can catch it, but he can't see it. So,
oh my God, don't get me going there.
Well, I mean, they needed somebody who was at least NFL caliber to replace Guerrero going into the season. Okay, they got that. I mean, Brian Robinson is an NFL caliber running back. We can have an argument about where he stands on that. I thought, I've said my piece on Robinson. You can look it up. I've said enough words about him already.
He was the 5th highest graded player by PFF, but whatever.
Yeah, well,
means.
me and PFF don't see football the same way. I don't even know what I wouldn't. It wouldn't shock me if they told me that PFF was nothing more than like an LLM at this point, because I look at some of these grades and I watch the tape, 3 or 4 times, and then I'll go like, I can't help myself. I'll be like, what did PFF say? And it's like, what on earth were you watching? Just unbelievable, discordant nonsense. So PFF, it's actually really disappointing for me because
PFF has odd grades. They'll give a guy a really good grade, and you'll be like, whoa, this guy, Jair Brown, was their 3rd highest graded player against the Saints. And then you look at the box score, and you're like, he played 6 snaps.
There needs to be some connection.
How is he of the 3rd highest grade with 6 snaps?
I just don't understand their methodology at all. And it legitimately seems as if they're not watching the games. And like, I canceled the subscription. Like, I still got another month left, but like, I can't do it. Like, I can't, it sucks because you can't even use it as a cheat sheet. You want to see who the best players on the team that, the Niners are playing 2 weeks away, or you want to see, who's well graded on a defensive or an offensive line going into free agency. And those numbers mean nothing anymore. They mean nothing because when you actually then have to go and, you have to go cross-reference it by doing the tape study and calling up people on your own. And it's just, again, everything seems to be totally discordant. All the players they think are good, no one in the scouting community or even my eyes thinks is any good. And then, vice versa. So that's neither here nor there. The thing with James is, he has 2 traits that the Niners really value, and they value them. I know because they've openly spoken about this, but these are also 2 things that Christian McCaffrey does at a very high level. And I'm not comparing those 2 in terms of quality, merely to say that they approach the running back position in the same way at much different calibers, which is 1, he can catch it and go with it. Right. So it's not this sort of rigid robotic motion. Robinson catches it, and then if no one's around, he will turn and go. And it's this whole thing. And Washington's like, we can't live this way anymore. Like we have one of the great running quarterbacks in the history of the NFL in our backfield. And he keeps running into our offensive line, despite there being acres of space created by our quarterback. And then 2, anytime we try to do some screen stuff or whatever, it's just rigid and robotic and awful. And it's like, I'd rather have Rodriguez out there. I'd rather have a 7th round rookie out there than Brian Robinson. So they traded him away and they gave up money to do it. With James, you can throw the swing pass. You can throw that Texas route. And it's not going to be Christian McCaffrey, but it's something. He'll catch it, and he has a chance to get some more yardage afterwards. And the second thing that he does, at least they say that he does, and you did see it pop up on tape at Oregon, though not as often because it is a collegiate game, is he's willing to go through tight running windows, and he'll squeeze out on the other side. Robinson certainly doesn't do that. Guerrero certainly doesn't do that. The willingness to go into a small area and see what you can get on the other side is like a big differentiating factor. The Niners think this. I agree with them on this, between, just a guy who can play running back and someone who can be an impact player. I've compared his running style. They're different bodies. They're different everything. But like there is some Elijah Mitchell in there that I can't shake. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if next week Jordan James is in the backfield with Christian McCaffrey, because the only time they've had McCaffrey share a backfield with another running back was with Elijah Mitchell. And they did it with against Minnesota's defense. And then the next week when they played Cincinnati, you might remember that Cincinnati game, they got absolutely run off the field by the Bengals, and Joe Burrow just carved him up at home.
Well, they had a 13-day rest advantage that day, and they looked like it. Cincinnati was so rested. That game was like a fix.
Totally. And that was
Niners
a lot of things
never stopped Cincinnati one time. Yeah. They played a soft zone, and Burrow just picked them apart. We'll see. We'll see. The Jordan James thing will be interesting. They're gonna lean on him at some point. It'll be a surprise to me because I didn't see. I watched him. I watched that every practice all summer, and I just didn't feel like I got a feel for what he is as a player.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And I think that's why he wasn't active this week. But I think that they've seen enough with Robinson.
Let's hit some supers. We got this one from Ruben Bocanegra. He says, so you can now, so no one knows why we always have injuries, or are we going with it's just an unfortunate turn of events? I don't think there's anything really to point to other than the 49ers are a very physical football team, and they practice at a pretty physical level. There's no question about that. They believe they have a little bit of an old school approach of build calluses. Building calluses means you're hitting. Hitting means guys get hurt. It's kind of the way it goes. Also, just football. I mean, you can go slow in the spring or slow in the summer and get hurt. You can go fast in the summer and get hurt. Everybody's just trying. I think it's somewhat, it's a gigantic, all these bodies come together. Even if you're going to tell me that it's anything but pretty much random, I would just push back on any kind of methodology that says that this team gets hurt over that team. I really just don't believe that it has anything to do with anything the 49ers do. I just think that other than they like and respect, they have a culture. And John Lynch was talking about it on the radio the other day. He's like, we have a culture on defense, and our culture is that we run and we hit and we get 11 guys to the football, and when they show up with there to do, with angry intentions, mean intentions. So they want physical, hard-hitting guys, and they do, for the most part, have a physical, hard-hitting team, and they have for years, and maybe that is part of it. That's the only thing I could say.
I would say for this year, they're also, have a roster of the two kinds of players that are most injured, which are, well-established veterans and older guys, and then really young guys who aren't, up for the NFL game. And then the other aspect of it, Fred Warner has liked to say as of late, and he dropped this a couple times last year, which was a pretty nice hint that he himself was injured, which is that the injury rate in the NFL is 100%. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when and how hard.
Yeah. Football, for that matter.
Yeah, right. Like and I do think that it's without question that the Niners have some bad injury luck, and it's long term. And I know they've done studies. I don't know how worthwhile those studies were, but I know that they've looked into like why always us. But I'd like to remind everybody, like, we talk about the 49ers. If your favorite team is the 49ers, you think about the 49ers all the time. Like, I'm pretty sure that 31 other teams talk like this too. Right? Because it's football, and football requires someone to be hit really hard on every single play. So, ask the Detroit Lions about injuries, coming off of last year when their entire defense was in the infirmary. Ask anybody. Like, every team goes through injuries. Yeah, the Niners seem to get it at the worst possible time to the worst possible players, but I don't know how you could account it for anything other than just bad luck. And, maybe if they would, maybe if they wouldn't have done the practice facility on an Indian burial ground, they wouldn't have this problem. But Jed decided that, and that's why he wanted that AYSO field, and here we are.
Yeah, get the Pope to sprinkle holy water over the over Levi Stadium. Maybe
listen, it hasn't helped the Bears yet. He's not coming to the Niners.
Frank Tom Ocean, member for 19 months. He says, "Love this show. Thanks, guys. I'm confident in this squad. Think we're only going to get better. Super Bowl in Santa Clara, 30 years after the last Super Bowl." All right, Tom, I like that. Frank, I should say. Mac and picks for Hendrickson, 49ers squadron.
Well, it's going to be probably the exact same amount of picks you'd have to use if you didn't include Mac Jones, which is too many for the Niners.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that before. I mean, let's just say it was going to take 2 twos, if that would be the only non-first idea, I think that makes any sense, is 2 twos. So if the Niners felt like, hey, we're going to trade Mac Jones next year for a 2, and we're going to turn around and give that 2 to the Bengals for Hendrickson, I mean, they can reason it through if they want. I don't think they're going to go this direction, but and I don't think they necessarily have to. I really don't. I think they could get by without doing that. But Ricky Williams, don't be buyers. Let's face it, we were never going to win the bowl this year. I'm not a Cowboy fan. This team is set up for 26. It's clear. Start every draft pick they made. Fire John if his picks miss. I don't know that it's obvious they were going for 26. Why? What? Because they're going to be, because Kittle, Bosa, CMC, Trent, Warner are going to be better in 26 than 25. That doesn't make sense to me. Yes, your young players will grow up a little bit more, but your best players will be further away from their prime. So I don't know that I would necessarily see it that way.
It wasn't obvious, but that is how they talk behind the scenes. And they have been well before.
What's that?
This.
It's
all about 26.
Really?
Absolutely.
It's all about 26.
It's always been it's been all about 26 since March. It's been all about 26 since March.
That to me seems very odd because there's no guarantee that Trent Williams will even play in 2026. And there's no chance, there's no guarantee that a lot of your best players will be there in 26. I think if you don't go year to year at this point, you're doing it wrong. Every year you got a shot. I saw the New York Giants go to the Super Bowl a couple times there with Eli Manning. They weren't the best team, but they just were a good organization. They put themselves in good position. They were playing well at the end of the year, and they found their way into a couple Super Bowls. And so I think it can be done. I just think that if you're waiting for like the stars to align, everything has to be perfect for you to make it. I think you're thinking of it the wrong way. I think you got to try to say, hey, you know what? It's a war of attrition, and let's just keep it rolling and see if we can get there. Michael says a Jeffrey Simmons Arden Key package would be nice. Yeah,
Jeffrey Simmons is not available.
Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best players in football. He's not going anywhere. Derek says, how much money do the 49ers have injured or on other teams?
Well, they have over $100 million in dead cap if you include injuries.
They're attempting to roll over $40 million.
Yeah.
In unused 2025 cap.
But like, and if this was, maybe I'm putting words in Derek's mouth here, but like, it's not like other teams don't. Again, it's not like other teams don't have injuries. I mean, we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals as dead in the water because Joe Burrow's injured. Like, kind of a big deal, and they don't have the infrastructure of coaching and good enough players and all that. Like, most teams, if they were to lose their number one pass catcher, as George Kittle is for the 49ers. Let's just say their number one receiver too, and Brandon Ayuk, and their quarterback for even 2 games, they'd be like, let's give up. And instead, the Niners went 2-0. So there's clearly something to the program and the organization that is worth investment in. But I kind of roll my eyes at the whole, the Niners are cursed thing, even though they probably are.
Claudaddy Arcades in the house said, buckle up for a 2.5-hour stream. By the way, Claudaddy Arcade sent us to New Orleans for week 2, and he's a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. He's got a brand new location at Capitola Mall that's open as we speak, though probably not this late at night. Check him out.
That'd be weird.
That would be a late night.
Mall's closed. Don't go there.
Do not go to the mall. I want to play Pac-Man. Okay. Ricky Williams, Aaron Glenn, DC next, by the way. No.
They're going back to Steve Wilkes. No. I will say this. I mean, it popped into my mind on me and Jake's post-game stream yesterday. Like, if Robert Saleh can find a way to make this a top 5 defense, which kind of seemed like the trajectory that they were on without Nick Bosa, we've all joked that Robert's like back and in it for the long haul here. Like, someone's calling him. Like, someone's going to call him and maybe make him a head coach. If Chris Shula, who I think is a very good defensive coordinator with the Rams, is like atop everyone's list right now, then Robert Saleh is going to get another go. They're going to say
Mentor. Yeah, I mean, there's no question. I mean, Saleh's going to get another look. I think Bradley could step in. Heck, D'Amico Ryans could get the axe in Houston. He could come. Ricky Williams says, when McDaniel gets back in the building, we'll have creativity again, Dieter. Pay the man what he wants and run it back with the band in 26.
I do think McDaniel's coming back.
Wow.
I do. I mean, I don't think he's making it alive to 2026 with the Dolphins. So, and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if he wants to come back, if he wants to kind of go back into the place. But like, him and Kyle are brothers. Like, it wouldn't shock me in the least bit if he showed up for another year or two. And that said, he'll have a lot of good opportunities to be an offensive coordinator somewhere for a defensive head coach.
Claudette Arcade says $5 super for Mike G in the chat, spelling Almond Ross St. Brown. I think I like his version more than the actual name.
That's awesome.
How
That's
many people
autocorrect
can
for
name
you.
all of the St. Brown brothers? Can you name
Equanimous,
Equanimous, Amon Ra,
and Steve.
Stanford.
I forgot the other I forgot the other St. Brown. What do you got?
Osiris.
Osiris St. Brown. It was all Greek gods, right? Or Egyptian gods.
I'm not sure actually about that.
Yeah.
Harry Johnson. Yes. Bosa needs some brisket chili to heal the ACL.
It could work. It could work.
There we go.
Can't question it. I always find it interesting talking about folks with ACLs because it turns out I don't have them.
What do you mean?
Funny. I just don't have ACLs.
You don't have any?
I don't have. At some point in my growth spurt, both of the ACLs just didn't come along for the ride.
Garrison Hurst didn't have one.
Yeah.
Remember that? They found out during the draft process. They were like, oh, this guy can't go high in the draft. He only had a phenomenal NFL career.
There was a rebounder out of Pittsburgh, DeJuan Blair, really good college basketball player.
DeJuan Blair.
He didn't have ACLs either. And it's like, if you ever want, I can make some weird noises with my knees and they can bend in very weird ways. It's actually bailed me out a couple of times. Meanwhile, I know a buddy who's torn it like 6 times. So
let's hit the rest of these topics before we get out of here. Niners averaged 3.3 a carry against Seattle, 3.0 a carry against the Saints, and 3.7 a carry against Arizona. What is the number one? What's your level of concern regarding their sluggish rushing attack?
3 out of 10. I think that they have faced 3 of the most sound defenses in the NFL when it comes to stopping outside zone. They all run the 4-0-4 front. Now, McDonald maybe has a little bit of a different look on the mint or the tight front than certainly Gannon and Brandon Staley do. But that front, it's often a 5-man look, but it's 3 down linemen at the 4 technique, 4-eye, 0 and 4-eye. It creates some real problems when you're dealing with protection schemes, particularly in the run game. And then you add in Arizona's 3 safety looks, which they ran yesterday, and they always run. And it creates real issues on trying to figure out second level stuff because of late rotation and gap fills that don't appear until the play is already underway. So I think that Jacksonville and their classic 4-man front with 2 linebackers and a nickel behind it is going to be manna from heaven on Sunday. And I think there's enough teams that still run that classic look, which, back in the day, you could say the Niners were that, but not under Robert Saleh. They ran a 9-0-9 front on Sunday. I've never seen that in my entire life. They had 2 dudes at the 9 technique, and they had Michael Williams as a nose guard lined up above the center in a 3-man front. I've never seen the Niners run a 3-man front unless it was like a Hail Mary situation. So he's getting weird with it. This is the new wave. Offenses have been creating conflict in defenses for years, and defenses said, forget it. We're going to start doing that same thing as well. Late rotations, motions in the defensive backfield, 3-man fronts that are stacked on the interior with linebackers filling in behind, but every gap covered. I think it was, I legitimately think it was the 3 toughest matchups you could get off the jump for a team that had some real challenges in the receiver room and also had separation issues with the guys that they had outside of Pearsall. I think that it opens up this week and moving forward. Maybe Jordan James is part of that solution, and maybe he'll get all the credit for it if he plays on Sunday. But I think that if you do the exact same stuff you've been doing against more classic looks, you're going to get a lot better results because it's just not as crowded. Those defenses are made to take away the Kubiak outside zone. And the 49ers offense isn't evolved enough at this juncture with the backup quarterback and all these injuries, and even with Brock and all these injuries, to be doing more advanced and particularly gap stuff. So I just think I think it's the defenses they're playing, and you tip your hat and you move forward. And if they can't do it against the Jaguars, we'll have a different conversation. I'll be proven wrong.
I'd like to see them stick with it a little bit more. They seem a little impatient with it. I'd like to see them stay with it a little bit. I'd like to also see them, try some try a little bit, some end arounds, try to loosen things up a little bit, see if you can get some misdirection going. I'd love to see them get in a little bit of rhythm. It seems like the only way they get their running game going is after the passing game gets going and they make first downs. They just struggle to like initiate their rushing attack. I think we got to see it. This is an interesting game. The Arizona only averaged 2.8 yards a carry outside of that one Trey Benson 29-yard run. So they did a nice job defending the run. Jacksonville is running it really, really well right now. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if the Niners can stop their rushing attack. But as far as the Niner rushing attack, I'd like to see them stick with it a little bit more. I'd like to see a little bit more of a commitment to try to run it. And it would be nice to have a game where the first game they had nice offensive balance. I'd like to see them have offensive balance and not throw the ball all over the yard.
Let's add this into the mix. I mean, when you're playing the defensive fronts that they've played, where they're really spreading you out, they're forcing you inside because they're taking away the outside and really setting a wide edge. That's when a great blocking tight end is so valuable because you can win that edge and you can run behind him. They haven't had George Kittle since the second quarter of week 1. And they ran the ball pretty well in the first when he was on the field.
So they're not really using Farrell very much.
Farrell's not been very good. Farrell's missing a lot of blocks. He's been really disappointing. When
Tongas is getting the lion's share of the snaps at tight end.
Yeah, because Farrell's out there. He can't really. I know he caught a touchdown. That thing was slow developing to say the least. So he's not a pass catcher, and so you put Tongas out there. He's not a very good blocker. And again, these defenses are predicated on really taking away the onus off the offensive line and putting the point of attack from the defensive perspective on the outside, a fullback, a wide receiver, more often than not a tight end. When you don't have George Kittle there, when you have backup third string wide receivers, when you have a fullback who doesn't really block anymore, you run into some real issues. So again, I just think that getting into a more classic defense and getting George Kittle back, this thing's going to hum.
We're coming down the home stretch, though. We do have I want to share the screen and react to a couple of these Baldi breakdowns.
Okay.
Here's Baldi on let's listen together. We'll find out together.
Well, here you go. The Niners are 80 yards away, down 15-13. A minute 45 to go. They need a field goal to win it for supremacy in the NFC West. Right here, little tight end dump over the middle. Linebacker bails. Mac Jones sees it right away. That's a drive starter, first down. Then you get this. You get a little slot blitz right here. Both Sky Moore and Mac Jones sees it together. Easy completion, first down. Now they're moving. All right? Like all yogis, breathe in, breathe out. Namaste, my friend. Here's Kendrick Bourne back in San Francisco, a little whip route. But if you get tackled in bounds in a 2-minute drill, get your ass up and get the ball to the umpire. He's got to spot the ball. Well done, Bourne. Next play. Here he is up top. Little double slant right here. Double slant. You get it to Bourne. Now he breaks the tackle, gets down to the 35-yard line. It sets him up for this right here. It sets him up for Christian McCaffrey on a slow screen. Good call. Excellent call by Shanahan right here. I get the ball in McCaffrey's hands. There's Connor Colby, the 7th-round pick. There's Brandon. There's Pooty. They're all looking for somebody to block down the field. 20 yards later, here's Mac Jones. Like a yogi. Breathe in, breathe out. Get lined up. Namaste, my friends. Let's spike it. Let's spike it. Stop the clock with no time left, and let's go kick the game-winning field goal, and let's go home. First place in the NFC West.
Oh, nice little breakdown there from Baldi. I could watch Baldi just break down anything. And then he took his Cocoa Puffs, and he, with his right hand, he brought it to his mouth. I mean, he's
good stuff.
He's good. He's good. What do you
think
about
drive?
It was a nice drive. One thing that we that Mac did reference in the post game, he's like, "Hey man, I got a nice little thing going with Bourne." But you forget both those guys were in New England together, and they have some reps.
It matters. It matters. I mean, the Niners aren't a team that does a lot of choice routes or anything like that, but there is an element of feel to playing the receiver position, even in the most rigid of systems like a Kyle Shanahan. Like you gotta have a feel to it. And Mac, it's so obvious that Mac feels really comfortable running Kyle's stuff. Like, he gets it. He understands what Kyle's going for. He gets it. He reads the field, man. It's so annoying watching these other quarterbacks, and it was so annoying watching Garoppolo for all those years. Just like, first read's not there, guess the play's over. Like, backup quarterback, some guys don't have the ability or the time or the arm strength or whatever to go through all their progressions and live, and Mac's kind of flirting with disaster sometimes, standing in the pocket too long. But at least he sees it. At least he sees it.
He can process and he can distribute. He can
matters.
process and he can distribute, and that's what Brock can do too at his core. Brock's got more,
He's got so much more, but
so much more.
That is the
skill
baseline.
And speed. Yeah. One more from Baldi here. Let's see what he says here.
On a day when Nick Bosa only played 13 snaps, an ugly finish to his day, Michael Williams picked up the slack. I mean, on this third down right here, he just tackles everybody. McBride, Connor, everyone. Just tackles the whole thing. Now, you watch Bryce Huff come. I mean, the guy, here he is on third down right here. He's getting doubled. He gets his hands up in the air. Bam, ball's batted up in the air. Incomplete. Bosa's he's not getting off the field. No. We'll let Huff let him know, man. Welcome to the fraternity, bro. This is what it's all about. And then you just watch him. Like, he's just a Bugatti off the edge. His speed, they try to double him, and here it is. Like, it's hard to make an accurate throw when the Bugatti is just dumping you to the ground. Incomplete pass. And then 3rd and 1. You watch Bryce Huff off the edge and Fred right here. 3rd and 1, how they just stop James Conner cold. Both of them. Fred low, Huff high. Both get off their blocks. And then you just watch how Huff closes right here. Him and Michael right here. Together. Here they both come. At Kyler Murray. Down goes. That closes out the half right there. And then you watch this right here, okay? Huff's going to play the keeper. Michael's going to split the double team inside. They're both going to meet at the ball carrier. I mean, guys had to pick up the slack when Bosa went out, and that guy is going to be a monster. And Bryce Huff and Fred, that was a pretty good day, pretty good looking defensive front in that game. On a day when Nick Bosa only played.
No doubt. Niner fans love that little highlight right there.
Lots of love.
Yeah, they're seriously. Mikel looked amazing in this game. Huff looks amazing at this point. Yeah, we mentioned Warner and Winters. They got a lot of good things going on their defense, and it makes you wonder. I know at the beginning of the year they were probably thinking, okay, maybe those rookies won't come along. Now you're 3-0. You're winning with your backup quarterback. Your rookies are coming along. There's even more coming behind them. Guys like Nick Martin are coming. Do they get more excited about being all in on this year after their 3-0 start based on what they've seen from their young defenders?
It's got to keep going. It's got to keep going, and we'll see. I mean, they did a good job in adapting to the scenario on Sunday, but Jacksonville's a different challenge. I'm not sure if it's a stronger one, but it's a different one. And then that Rams game on Thursday night, I think, is going to tell us everything we need to know. If they can win that, go 3-0 in the division, game on. Like, doesn't Nick Bosa or not, like, game on. And if they don't, then maybe we pull it back a little bit. But, we talked, Larry, you and I, and anybody who I think had a pulse, talked for an entire year plus about how this team couldn't stop the run. And Michael Williams has kind of come in and individually just stopped the run. I know that it's a lot of other people involved, but like, Michael was on the field for 14 designed runs yesterday by the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals got 35 yards on those design runs total, 2.5 yards a carry. I mean, you're playing him everywhere. He's getting double, triple teamed all the time. And he just keeps winning. They played him as a nose guard, Larry. They played him as a nose guard. It didn't matter. He just kept winning. Now, I will, say, obviously he doesn't have the pass rushing bag. We can all see that. It's just bull rush. And then the second aspect is I think that Arizona offensive line was seriously depleted yesterday. No Will Hernandez and no Paris. I always forget the last name. Paris Johnson, who's about as good as it gets at left tackle.
He got 6 pressures, too. I mean, Mikel had 6 pressures. He wasn't just a run defender. He had 6 pressures. I mean, that's pretty good.
It's the same thing, right? It's just I'm taking you and you are coming with me. He is so strong. You can't block him with the tight end. Good luck with that. And you can double team him on the interior. He's going to find a way to get through. This is what we saw on tape at Georgia, and it's manifesting in the NFL. It's huge. It's huge. Would you like the 20-year-old to have, more of a repertoire as a pass rusher? Sure, but it will come because the physical talent, I mean, there's nothing that's beyond this guy, and the sky's the limit for him in his career. But as of right now, he is a difference maker and frankly, an entire defense changer with the way that he defends the run.
I don't even think that I don't think that's really his trajectory, is to be this great edge guy. I just think he's going to get bigger, and almost everybody gets bigger over time, and he's already 270. He could easily become 285 and wind up being just every bit as physical and dominant, as he is right now at 270, 275, just at a little bit heavier weight, just naturally as he gets a little bit older. So I think he's ideally set or situated. And to me, the great mix is him and Huff. Because Huff,
as Baldi just broke down, it was great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Huff gives you that incredible. Huff is great for him too, because it allows him to play inside. He's better inside, but then Huff creates all this extra space inside, and that helps Williams win. So, it's a well conceived defensive front for sure, and that's why I said Mo Kamara, because just find another speed guy who's going to make those tackles flare out, and you'll have a lot of the same effect. It won't be an 18 million.
If you need to set an edge, you got the guys who can set an edge. You're not going to get someone who's going to set the edge and be a great pass rusher at the same time.
No.
That's the guys who get $25-30 million a year.
But Michael Clemens might be able to do that. I mean, that
Maybe.
The two Jets guys would be the most intriguing in the trade market.
You. There's some good options.
3 last questions, quick ones, and we'll get out. Who is the most impressive of the 6? There are 6 teams that are 3-0 after week 3. Buffalo, Indy, Chargers, Eagles, Buccaneers, and 49ers. Who is the best 3-0 team?
The best 3-0 team is probably still the Eagles. It's the Eagles. They have struggled this year. They hadn't passed the ball in any positive effect until the second half of Sunday's game. But that defense is absolutely for real. They still have that offensive line. Until they're dethroned as the champions, you have to presume that is their trajectory. But I want to say the Chargers. Like, deep down, I want to say that the Chargers are the best team in football right now. And we'll find out. But they are playing at such a high level, even without Khalil Mack these last 2 games, that, like, I can't get over it. And if we're going to go off, I'm couching, but, like, it's the Eagles, but I want to say the Chargers. And if we're using the term impressive, who's impressed me most? It's the Colts. No one saw that. They're a juggernaut. They have a plus 47 point differential through 3 games. Like, what? Daniel Jones is like the best quarterback in the NFL right now. So who's impressed me the most? It's the Colts, who I thought everyone was going to get fired at the end of the year and have started 3-0, and hardly in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 49ers manner of, getting away with one. The Duke boys got away with this one again. These guys are going out there and kicking ass. And I don't know how sustainable it is, but that's really just a Daniel Jones question, because the rest of the team, is pretty damn good.
I think objectively it's the Niners. And I know people would say, what? That's crazy. They look at all the flaws and they just lost Bosa and this and that. But look what they've done. 2 of the 3 games on the road, 2 of the games in the division. Seattle's damn good for that, yes, for that matter.
The Saints.
They've done it without Purdy in 2 games. They've done it with their backup quarterback. Chargers aren't beating people with their backup quarterback. Eagles aren't beating people with their backup quarterback. Niners are 2-0 with their backup quarterback. They haven't had Kittle. They haven't had Ayuk. JJ's hurt. It's like Trent.
Yeah. We don't have enough time to go through all the injuries.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, it's the 49ers. The 49ers have the horses based on what's happened so far. I mean, the Chargers have looked good, but they played the Raiders. I mean, I watched that Raider game in New Orleans at the casino with JD on a 8K screen. The Raiders, hung in that game. I mean, it wasn't like that was a blowout. The Raiders made plays in that game. So I think the Chargers, I agree with you. I like the Chargers. I'd probably lean towards the Eagles, but I'll throw a vote on the Niners just from the standpoint of look what they've done, how they've done it, and look what they actually have on their team that hasn't played yet. I mean, that to me is big. All right, let's go to two last ones here. Give me a comp, a really good comp for Ricky Pearsall. And it doesn't have to be somebody who's playing now. No. It could be somebody from yesteryear. It could be. I don't know if I have one, but do you have one? Do you have a Ricky Pearsall comp?
Nothing.
If you say what is it? What traits are we looking for? We're looking for somebody with pretty good speed and somebody with great fluidity, who's explosive in and out of the break and has well above average hands and is a well above average route runner.
Mm-hmm. I have a name for you. It feels sacrilege. And it's a little ironic, given that his namesake is not that. But Marvin Harrison. Some Marvin Harrison there.
What
do you think?
Marvin Harrison was even a little bit more slight.
Yes. And that's kind of I like to have guys with the same type of body, right? Like you can't go like, oh, David Boston. Well, that's totally different ball game, Marvin Harrison, tactician, clean route runner, great feel for the game. Somebody who was kind of sneaked up on you, right? You get those yaks and you're like, how's this guy keep separating? He just
okay. I got
Marvin
one.
Harrison, and Marvin Harrison's a Hall of Fame receiver. That's too much. It's too much for Ricky Pearsall, but that's as close as I could get in the allotted time.
Okay. I like that one. I also have a guy that, like Pearsall, there's many, many days that you sat there and go, how did that guy get all that separation?
Yeah.
How did that guy make all those impact plays? That guy's not physically dominant. He's not incredibly fast. He's not very big and powerful. How did he keep beating us? He kind of reminds me of a little bit of Torrey Holt.
Oh, that's a great one. Shit, that should have been mine. That's so good.
Kind of a stylish receiver, but at his core, just kind of a blue collar elements to it, and also kind of an unstoppable vibe about it. Like, you're not going to stop this guy. And Torrey Holt made Warner look really good. I get the feeling that Ricky Pearsall is going to make a lot of quarterbacks look really good.
That's really good. That's a good one because of the big playability as well. Like Ricky's best route is like a deep 7, a deep 8. And that's exactly what Torrey Holt was great at. Now you had Isaac Bruce kind of operating in that Marvin Harrison like role, kind of those underneath routes and doing all the, the steady, dirty work, not a sacrificial X receiver, more of a possession type guy back when we used to refer to receivers as possession type receivers, as if the whole goal isn't to possess the football. Torrey Holt's way better than Marvin Harrison. That's Torrey Holt's not in the Hall of Fame either, so it wouldn't have felt as sacrilege. That's the winner. You beat me again.
Torrey Holt it is.
Good call.
All right, last question. We do have one more super that we should probably.
Oh, wonderful.
The great Titus Moeller. Do you think getting Kayvon Thibodeau is truly possible? I do.
It is truly possible, yeah.
I think Thibodeau's gettable. And
they don't
Shane
need surplus needs there.
What's that?
I don't think they like him, and I think that he's surplus needs. They would. I mean,
you
take Abdul Carter if he's there, right? Obviously, but now you're thinking like part of the reason that they were so keen to take Abdul Carter and not trade down or trade up or whatever is because they're like, Thibodeau kind of sucks. And I'm not saying he does, but like
he was great at Oregon.
He was great at Oregon.
He was.
It's funny how that works, where these guys who look so great at Oregon a lot of times don't work out. Don't apply that to Jordan James, though. It would never possibly apply to Jordan James.
All right, last one. And I threw this out to Grant earlier, so it's a little bit of a repetitive. If people saw both,
that's on your audience. It's new to me.
I apologize to the audience, but I think it's juicy. Who's more likely to be a 49er next year, Robert Saleh or Mac Jones? And what's your methodology in thinking this through? Or both or neither. Those are your options.
If I had to if I had 4 options, I'd say both.
Both are likely to be Niners.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that Mac is getting a starting job off of this 2-game sample.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be another backup job somewhere else. And I don't think anyone's trading what the Niners would require to get Mac Jones off the roster. Like, think about this. Think about all these teams that are just desperate to have a quality backup quarterback as if they didn't have the ability to get one 6 months ago. Think about how different the Niners 2024 season would look if Mac Jones had been the backup as opposed to the smorgasbord of shit that they had going on behind Brock Purdy last year. Like, that is such a vital position in the league because every quarterback every year is missing a game or two unless you're Josh Allen, in which case, I guess keep going with the Tom Moore school of we don't practice blanked. So they signed him to at least a 2-year contract on purpose. And Mac agreed to that contract on purpose. I think it was a total coup. And while I'm sure that there would be a lot of teams that would love to trade for a good backup quarterback in Mac Jones, they don't need to trade him. They don't need to move on from him. And if he's just going to be a backup somewhere else, they're not holding him back from, fulfilling his potential. He's just fulfilling his contract. So I think that the talk of Mac after those 2 games kind of moving on is putting the cart before the horse a little bit there. And while I do think that Saleh is doing such a great job that he should be getting interviews, it is a league where you need the offensive-minded guys. You want to get the guy who can call offensive plays. And I just don't know how many openings there will be, much less how many of those will be open to a defensive-minded head coach, right? 1, 2, 4 at the most. And is Robert Saleh going to beat out a Minter? Is he going to beat out, is he going to beat out Chris Shula? Is he going to beat out? There's some really good defensive coordinators, right?
Jeff Hafley.
Jeff Hafley would be a great one. So
I think he actually might beat those guys out.
Maybe.
I hear you though. I see what your thought process. I'll say that I think Mac Jones is more likely to be here and Saleh is more likely to leave just because I've already can kind of see the handwriting on the wall. The 49ers are injecting all kinds of new faces into this defense. Now the narrative includes they lost Nick Bosa in week 3, and I think they're going to continue having success. I don't think anything is accidental. I think they've got pretty good talent, and I think they'll be able to acquire some kind of player or players either in a trade or poaching in the practice squad to get them by. And I think they're going to be a pleasant surprise on defense much of the year. And I think Saleh's going to be recognized. I also think he's going to interview better now that he's been of New York. Now he's worked in New York with the Jets. He controlled that whole thing. He that media circus is a big adjustment. I don't know. I think Saleh's going to get another opportunity because he's a very good interviewer and he's got a lot of talent. I think he's a really respected guy. So, where Jones, I think, might want to stay.
Yeah.
And I can see the Niners. I can see the Niners maybe just saying, "Hey, what do you think? Here's a 2-year, $20 million deal to be the backup for the next couple of years, and just make that investment in that number 2 quarterback."
Totally.
And maybe he makes an investment in them because he is a good fit for Kyle's system.
It's a sweet gig. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of other teams that run Kyle's system, and if an opportunity to start were to open up, I'm not sure he'd be the first call, but he might be the call. And in that case, hey, compensation, come on down. I'm with you on Saleh in the sense that, absolutely, he could be, he probably should be, but NFL is not the brightest league sometimes when it comes to hiring head coaches, right? There's typically the teams that are looking for new head coaches. They look for them a lot. And it's because they don't really have good leadership at the ownership or higher up level. So, I do think that the reputation for Saleh around the league is that it wasn't his fault with the Jets, but he also didn't help the situation with the Jets. And if you're in I don't know how these other DCs will do, but if you're in a situation where a defensive coach can come in and take the job, okay, that's a pretty loaded talent pool for a limited window of opportunity. And Won't these teams want to go with somebody who's not a retread? Isn't that easier to sell to your fan base? I think that the odds are stacked against him after year one in getting another head coaching job. But he absolutely would deserve it. I think he's good. I think in the right situation, he could be great. But never forget that Dan Quinn, he got his second job because no one else wanted that job. I mean, that might be Robert Saleh's path.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So we'll find out.
You just never know when that opportunity is going to come, and for some guys, it never comes.
Right. I mean, Steve Spagnuolo is a pretty damn good defensive coordinator. He ain't getting another gig,
Yeah,
so I don't think that's Robert Saleh's path right now. I think he's too young. All that, but some guys just, Matt Nagy's pretty good quarterbacks coach. No one's hiring to be a head coach again. I mean, some guys get the stink on them and they can never get it off.
Last question of the night is brought to you by Habbas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. My dad was a lawyer. My brother's a lawyer. My sister's a lawyer. They're all great attorneys, but my dad always used to say to me, the difference between success and failure in life is a smart attorney. Always make sure you have a smart attorney. And today's show is sponsored by some very smart attorneys at Habbas Law. For more than 40 years, Omar Habbas and his son Tarek have been standing up for people in Northern California. Man, they will attack these insurance companies because they know how to, and they've been battling insurance companies for decades and beating them. So when the insurance companies say they're not going to pay you, Habbas Law says, yes, you are going to pay. So if you need someone in your corner, call the firm insurance companies hope you never call. Habbas Law, they will fight to make it right. Visit habbaslaw.com. They will fight to make it right. 1-800-INJURED is their number. Thanks to Habbas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. Most impressive team this weekend to you was
probably the Chargers again.
Chargers.
I'm not sure what's going on with Denver. And I know that defense has slipped a little bit, probably because Surtain's injured. But, they look like the real deal, man. They really look good.
Herbert, how about that one throw where Herbert's moving to his left and throws across his body to a receiver who was covered, and he just threaded the needle, put it right on his hands. It was an unbelievable throw. If Herbert fulfills his potential, everybody could be playing for second place.
It looks like he's fulfilling his potential to me, Larry.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like to me. It might be over. And my daughter somehow, my 2-year-old daughter, somehow took a liking to the Chargers over the last year. No flipping idea how. She just thinks Chargers. So I break down Chargers film every week with my daughter in the office. And let me tell you, I'm liking what I'm seeing there. And she really enjoys saying, "Hey, Daddy, Chargers." I really have no idea how this happened, but we might be going to that game during the mini bye.
Chargers Niners Super Bowl 60 at Levi's.
Hey,
I'd love to see it.
It was one man's prediction. It might become reality.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know. Without Bosa, it's going to be tough. But they did lose. Did they lose Khalil Mack for a long period of time? I know he was.
It's like a wrist thing. I think it's a matter of months, not a matter of a year.
That's going to do it for us. Sure enough, someone said 2.5-hour stream. They were wrong. It was 2 hours and 12 minutes. But thanks to everybody. The links are in the description. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Habbas Law. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to Claudette Arcades. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Thanks to all the sponsors, and thanks to you, Dieter, as well. Thanks for everybody in the chat. Dieter, I'll give you the final word as we head for the door.
Oh, subscribe to the Dieter and Hutch Show on YouTube. It's fantastic. And if you made it this far in this show, God only imagines what you would do with a 1-hour tight window of analysis on the Dieter and Hutch channel. So I look forward to seeing you there.
There you go. On that note, have a great night, everybody.
Yeah, never met a man